Happy Hump Day, everybody. Welcome to the Sean O'Connell Show. Happy to be with you again on a show that is brought to you today and every day by our good friends over at Big Willie's, 1717 South Main, the top sports bar in Utah. Number one pool hall in Utah. The best spot for you to watch tonight's Mammoth versus Golden Knights game. They're going to have giveaways, signed apparel, signed memorabilia. And it's not just sports, but obviously sports are the main attraction here on ESPN 700. They do trivia nights. They do poker on Sundays. They've got a little bit of everything for you down at Big Willie's. In addition to the craft food menu, the incredible cocktails, and the cold beers on draft and in the coolers. Today we are coming at you live from the Paris RV tent sale. In the northwest corner of the Layton Hills Mall, there are millions of dollars worth of used RVs, motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels, tent trailers, toy haulers, truck campers, Class A, Class C, diesel, gas, whatever you are looking for, they've got it up here. Don't miss the used RV liquidation event. The info is available at utahrvevent.com. It's going now through Saturday, so they'll be here through the weekend. They're going to have a little bit of fun for you. They'll have some giveaways up here. And I'm sitting right in the middle, our ESPN 700 tent. We've got a sweepstakes you could enter to win some tickets for Utah Royals and Seattle Reign. I'm sitting here. I see a camper van to my left. I see a couple fifth wheels to my left. I got a nice little teardrop trailer right here in front of me. I've got the big fancy motorhome off to my right, and a good old-fashioned Airstream, the Pottery Barn Edition Airstream, sitting in front of me as well. So that's just within what I can see sitting in my camp chair. Come say hello, and let's have a good time today at the Layton Hills Mall and the Paris RV Super Closeout Mega Event. You'll have to bear with me as my voice is subpar today. That's what happens when you got three little kids that are just absolute booger machines at home. Eventually you do catch a little bit of that same cold, but we'll do our best to push through on a show that is jam-packed. Harry Douglas, Freddie Coleman in HD, if you've been listening to that on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM, the ESPN radio programming, they do an incredible job. Harry Douglas is a 10-year NFL veteran. He's going to join us to talk about the draft, his thoughts on what the Rams decided to do, his thoughts on Spencer Fano's fit in Cleveland and the rest of that Cleveland draft. We'll get to all of it with Harry Douglas. Adrian Denny is going to join us here live at the RV closeout event, and we'll talk about Utah Mammoth, Las Vegas Golden Knights tonight. The Mammoth are the betting underdogs on the road, as one might expect. But as we have already seen, they are they're more than capable of winning on the road. And my sincere hope is they can set up a scenario where you've got a potential closeout game on Friday night at the Delta Center. But you got to get the win tonight. We'll talk about all that with Adrian Denny. Greg Bolerjack is going to join us to talk a little NBA basketball, to talk a little Utah Jazz. And that's probably where we should start the show today, because there's an initiative being pushed through to the owners from the NBA Board of Governors, an anti-tanking measure, a 3-2-1 they're calling it, lottery system to disincentivize the tanking that has plagued the NBA. And the reason this is story number one for me today is because the Jazz were kind of made into the face of tanking in the NBA this year. And I've made my thoughts on the matter pretty clear. I don't think that they should. I don't think that was fair. I thought that the Jazz were scapegoated in a way that didn't make a ton of sense to me, that I thought was heavily influenced by the betting partners, the wagering partners of the NBA saying, hey, I don't like this Will Hardy rule where you're playing guys for three quarters and then you're sitting them down in the fourth. It throws off our wagering systems. It throws off our favorites. It throws off our handicappers. And it's going to cost our online sports book a lot of money. So you got to tell them to stop doing that. And of course, the NBA did. They forced the Utah Jazz to pay a fine and to again be kind of the example made to the rest of the NBA on what is acceptable when it comes to tanking and what is not. So, what does it mean for the Utah Jazz in this draft? Well, nothing at all. If it passes through the owners, which I think it's going to, it will be a 2027 change that takes effect. There is a focus right now for the NBA on the playoffs that are happening, as there should be, but this is the future of NBA basketball we're talking about. A lottery reform proposal to stop what we've just kind of grown accustomed to in the NBA. So, they let all 30 general managers know about a new anti-taking draft. They're calling it the 3-2-1 lottery. It expands the draft lottery to 16 teams. It flattens the odds. It creates what they have called a relegation zone where the bottom 3 teams, instead of being rewarded for being a bottom 3 team, they're actually penalized in the draft with fewer lottery balls for the number 1 pick. And as I said, it would start in 2027. So the race to the bottom is no longer something that you're incentivized to do. The race to the bottom is now something that actually hurts you. If you're a bottom 3 team under this new proposed rule, you have fewer lottery balls. You have fewer chances to get that number 1 pick. There was also conversation about changing the rules so that you would not be able to win the top pick in consecutive years, and you cannot win 3 consecutive top 5 picks. So not only the number 1 pick, but you could not pick 3 times in the top 5 of the NBA lottery. Essentially, this is the NBA, the owners, being told, hey, you cannot ask your fan base, you cannot ask our television partners, you cannot ask us to tolerate a half decade or 3 years or 5 years or whatever of misery with the promise of a better future. You can't just say, hey, it'll be better next year or next year or the next year or the next year. We need you to work on getting better right now. We are not going to reward you for being the worst team in the league or being one of the worst teams in the league year after year after year. It's an interesting proposal. It's one that I think gives a lot of food for thought to the teams that are in this situation right now. And it's funny because we kind of expect that the Utah Jazz, even though they maybe fomented this rebellion, they were the reason for a sincere look, or one of the main reasons for a sincere look at the draft lottery process by the NBA. We kind of expect that after they get this top 8 pick in a deep draft class here in 2026, that they're going to exit this conversation, that they're going to be more of a play-in team. And I guess this new lottery would affect some of the play-in teams under the new proposal. Your loser of the 7-8 game receive 1 lottery ball, and the 9 and 10 play-in seeds each get 2 lottery balls in what is, I think, a total of 37 lottery balls out there. So, but the Jazz are, for the most part, trying to play themselves out of and draft themselves out of the conversation for, hey, are you one of the worst franchises in the league? Are you a team that is going to be bad enough that this rule change affects you? Most people in Salt Lake City, I think people in the building down there at the Delta Center and the new practice facility down in Southtown will tell you that, like, yeah, this rule change might be good, and we're going to support it because it's not going to be directly related to us in the same way it would have been in these last 3 to 5 years. The proposal also also includes an out for even the teams that support it. After the 2029 draft, so you would run it in 2027, 2028, and 2029. The current proposal allows for a reevaluation, allows for a, hey, well, is this working? Does this make sense for everyone? Is this something we want to continue? And that coincides with the end of the current collective bargaining agreement, which runs through the 2030 season. So after 2029, which of course means then the 2030 draft, if collective bargaining comes out with something new, hopefully there's no work stoppage, there's no strike, there's no whatever, the league can say, all right, this new draft system worked or it didn't work, so let's see what we got here. I like the proposal. I think that the NBA made it pretty clear they wanted to make a change. I don't like the fact that the Utah Jazz became the poster children for the tanking problem and blamed for something that was a league-wide, decades-long situation. But if it incentivized potential change moving forward, so be it. And ultimately, the $500,000 fine doesn't really hurt people too badly. With all respect to the Smith Entertainment Group, a $500,000 fine is not exactly excessively punitive for people that are in that situation. The principle of it bothersome. The practicality of it really doesn't affect a whole lot. So, 877-353-0700. What do you make of this new proposal to disincentivize tanking, the 3-2-1 lottery system, and the effective alteration of a decades-long incentive program for NBA teams to, when they're not going to be good, if we're not going to be good, we're not going to be a playoff team, then let's be like really, really, really bad. Let's be as bad as we possibly can and see if we can get ourselves into that top pick position. Now you will be punished for losing that much. You will be punished for being in that conversation. If you are one of the first three teams in the league, the worst three teams in the league, you don't get the number one pick. We're going to reduce your odds of getting that number one pick. All right? If you're stuck in that sort of purgatory of always being a bad team, I know nobody wants to be there, wants to stay there, but this, in a certain way, forces you to make changes faster. Forces you to, hey, if we don't have the right coach, we got to move on from that coach. If we don't have the right GM, team president, we have to move on from these people. Because there is now no reward for being bad. And by the way, there never should have been a reward for being bad. Like, I understand that it was all done in the interest of parity, but as human beings often do, they took the rules and we manipulated them in such a way that we went away from it being like, all right, this encourages parity, to like this rewards being terrible. Professional athletes, professional coaches don't want to be in a situation that the Utah Jazz have been in the last 4 years. They don't want to be racing towards irrelevance. Irrelevancy? 877-353-0700. Tell me which of those is the correct use of the word. James, you're a big NBA guy. If you're back there in our Broadway studios and dialed in right now, what do you make of it? What do you make of the proposed change?
I think this is better than even the one that seemed to have the most momentum as of, I think, last week. They were reporting the one that was probably going to go through was the 18-team lottery system. I like this 16-team better than that. In theory, I could see them sort of punishing. They're calling it relegation for being one of the bottom three teams in the league. I can see that deterring teams from wanting to lose on purpose to improve their lottery odds, because that would not improve their lottery odds. But then I'm not sure if that doesn't just teams don't just adjust and be like, okay, we will be the fourth or fifth worst team in the league
Well,
instead.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you are going to get some of that, right? Where teams, instead of trying to be number one in the bad race, they're going to try to be number four because they're going to try to maximize their odds that way. But flattening the probabilities from like 4 to 8 or whatever means that there will be, I think, less manipulation of that. The other thing here that's in the proposal that's like, it's a throwaway line in all the articles, all the write-ups, but it's not really a throwaway, is that I need the details on this. The league would also have expanded disciplinary authority to regulate tanking and have the option to reduce lottery odds and modify draft positions for teams under the new proposal. That is going to be a major roadblock for owners when they get to see what the details of that look like.
Yeah.
Expanding disciplinary authority, what does it look like? Is it larger fines? Because larger fines you can probably deal with. Is it something more significant than that? You can take away draft picks from us. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can excuse me, you can characterize expanded disciplinary authority.
The only thing when I think about that, I would hope that it's not so. I would hope that there's some kind of set process, criteria, whatever term you want to use, so that it's not just when Adam Silver feels like this team is the worst right now, so we're going to take away this many draft picks this time. We feel like this team's not quite the worst, but they're still pretty bad, so we're going to take away one less draft pick. I just hope it's not just an arbitrary, like the fines have been the last couple of years, particularly with the Jazz being fined. You referenced earlier in February, I believe it was, for the egregious tanking that the league characterized it as, $500,000 fine. Oh, but we're fining the Pacers too, but only $100,000 because they're not quite as egregious. I'm not saying all the punishments should be universal, but it did seem way too subjective, way too arbitrary. I hope that there's some kind of criteria that makes sense to everyone once a punishment gets dealt out, if that makes sense.
And by the way, if I'm Ryan Smith, if I'm the Utah Jazz, I need to know the exact fine print on this.
Yeah.
Because the arbitrary punishments, the examples being made, the unfair, if you want to call it that, enforcement of certain rules is not going to be put at the feet of the New York Knicks. They're not going to do it to the LA Lakers. And it's not even a market size thing. They're not going to do it to the San Antonio Spurs because the Spurs are kind of like the Green Bay Packers. They have this like prestigious sort of reputation despite being a small market team. What you're going to do is you're going to make an example out of the Charlotte Hornets and the Utah Jazz and teams like that. If you have that expanded disciplinary authority, I'm telling you, if I'm in that room, if I'm Austin Ainge, if I'm Ryan Smith, if I'm Will Hardy, if I'm anyone, I'm like, hold on a minute. Tell me what expanded disciplinary authority means. Because last time you threw a fine at us that was larger than anyone else's fine, even though we were doing something that in a lot of ways was better for your fans. Maybe worse for your betting partners, but it was better for your fans. And you still punished us harshly. So,
and by the way,
tell me what
Spence Checketts was on this really well once that went down. He wasn't necessarily on board with it being unfair that the Jazz were being fined at all, but he was saying, why isn't everyone else being fined? And the Pacers, to be fair, were, but the Wizards never got fined for never playing Trae Young, basically, for never playing Anthony Davis after trading for both of them, basically, and they were not ruled out as season-ending injuries right away, right? They were the Kings stopped trying to win in like December, right? Like and nothing went down for them. No fine for them. It's that sort of thing where it's like okay, we need, just like you're saying, we need some kind of set fine print here. We need some details on how you're going to dole out these potential disciplinary actions, because it can't just be willy-nilly, arbitrary, subjective like we saw this past season.
All involved parties would be allowed to voice their opinions on this. The commissioner said, I think it's a decision that has to be made at the ownership level, which is, of course, 100% right. You're not going to get anything through. And I hope that there's some level of debate. I hope that there's some level of pushback on this. But I do believe that it's a solid proposal. There's another thing here. I just want to make sure I'm putting out all the right details. Teams would not be able to protect picks that are in the 12 to 15 range going forward in the NBA lottery. So you not have protected picks between 12 and 15. I don't like that they call it the relegation area, being in the bottom three, if you're not actually going to relegate. I know we don't have a system that allows that in pro sports right now. I guess you could bring up a G League team if you really wanted to. I guess you could say, all right, the Jazz are really, really terrible right now, or the Portland Trailblazers are an embarrassment to us. So we're going to bring up the, Tulsa 66ers, I think is the name of their pro basketball, their G League team, if they still have one. I love the promotion and relegation thing that they have over in European soccer. I think it's awesome. I think that if they're in a perfect world, you could find a way to make it be a thing in college sports in the United States of America, promotion and relegation, but it's not going to work in the NBA. So call it something else. The relegation area. What are you're relegating them to? What? No picks?
You're relegating them to the number 8 pick instead of the number 3 pick. Like, oh man.
If you are in that bottom 3, that bottom 3 record-wise, you could not pick lower than number 12. So you're protected. You're not going to get completely stuck out of the lottery. You're not going to drop out into the 20s or the end of the first round. But you would have, your odds reduced. You take away a lottery ball. You take that ball and you go home.
The 12, and the way this is different, and I think that this is a pretty good provision in this model. The way that 12 being the lowest you could pick is different. Is like right now it's 4 spots lower than your final standings position in the standings. So the Jazz finished 4th this year. The lowest they can pick is 8th. In this model, if the Jazz were the 3rd worst team, instead of the lowest they could pick being 7th, it would be the lowest they could pick is 12th. I think that's I like that because it doesn't, last season the Jazz had the worst record and they got the 5th pick, and under this current model that we're in, the Jazz and other teams that wanted to tank over multiple years, they could just get the worst record every year and and guaranteed a top 5 pick. That's not really a curb against tanking. This only being guaranteed a 12th pick, in theory, I think that would discourage the tanking, but we'll just have to see.
And here's the thing: there's no perfect system. So this is an effort towards trying to disincentivize tanking. In order to keep everyone happy, in order to make it so that nobody tries to manipulate the rules, that's not possible, right? We have seen human nature is such that if there's a rule in place, one of the first things we do as human beings is we figure out how to circumvent that rule. All right, is there some fine print here? Is there an asterisk I can exploit? Is there a technicality that nobody here has thought of? I mean, that's what we do. And teams will absolutely do that. James, you already pointed out the most obvious one. Well, if I'm going to be penalized and lose a lottery ball for being the worst, the second worst, and the third worst team, I'll just be the fourth worst team, and then I have good odds, but I don't lose that lottery ball. But the nice thing here is that the fourth worst team doesn't have a better shot than the anyone all the way up until the play-in teams, as far as I can understand it, right? So, do I want 3 lottery balls? All right, I can be the fourth worst team. I can also be the eighth worst team. Good on the NBA for trying. Good on the Utah Jazz for being the team that really um, started this ball rolling, I think.
Yeah, the NBA should give them $500,000 for tanking over 4 years, right? And he's like, you know what? Thank you.
Keep your $500,000. I think I speak for Ryan Smith. He likes it when I speak for him. Keep the $500,000. That's a tax write-off on some level. They donate that to charity, so it's probably been put to good use. Those fines. Great, wonderful, happy. Now, instead of giving me that money back, give me an extra lottery ball whenever this thing is implemented. Just throw an extra one in there.
Just as a thank you. You know what? Thank you for being so bad that it pissed so many people off, and our betting partners are the ones that we don't want to say publicly, but they're the ones who got really mad at this, forced us to take this seriously. So thank you for being so bad that forced us to make some changes here. Here's another lottery ball. You get 4 this year. Wink, wink.
I can't even fathom, by the way, like starting a company, because like the FanDuel and the DraftKings guys, they were pretty young, the people who started those companies, right? Starting a company, and then 5 to 10 years later, you're literally picking up the phone and you're telling the NBA what to do. That is bananas. Imagine what that's like. I can't. All right, we're gonna take a quick one here in a few minutes, and Harry Douglas is going to join us, the co-host of Freddie and HD with Freddie
Brett.
Coleman.
Yep. Good to
But
see you.
we're up here at the Paris RV tent sale. We've been here before. It's great every single year, and the brains behind the operation. Brett, what's up? How are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So every single year we come up and we talk about what you've got going on with these used RVs, the fifth wheels, the tent trailers. I was telling the people, just within like my vision here sitting down, you've got a broad array. You've got the trailers, the tow behinds, you've got the motorhomes, you got the Airstream, the iconic, chrome profile of that thing, and the selection goes on and on through the whole parking lot.
Yeah, like even this little pop-top van here, right? There's some Class A's, some Class C's. We got stuff as low as $5,000, but then there's stuff as much as over $100. And some of them amaze me because I walked in a couple of them and they hadn't even been unwrapped yet. They're supposedly used, but there's a couple of them in here that look brand new to me. And if you don't see something you like here, there's a holding yard with a couple hundred more. So as we sell them out of this place, we'll take it out and put another one back in its spot.
Yeah, look, if you're like me and you're like, okay, I don't really know what I need, but I got this many kids, I got this vehicle to pull, can you point me in the right direction?
Absolutely. That's the key right there. What are you gonna tow it with? How many are you gonna sleep? How are you gonna store it? And what's your price range?
Sure.
We've definitely got one that will work for sure.
And then if you're someone who already knows the answer to all those questions and you've got a very specific need, and maybe it's not here on the lot at Layton Hills Mall, like we just said, you'll find it.
Yeah, between our 4 locations, we've got over 1,300 RVs. So you think about that, 1,300. That's the biggest inventory in the western side of the United States, right here in Utah, and then we have that one store in Idaho. But yeah, for sure, we'll have something that you'd like that'll work for you, and it's definitely time to get something and take your family out on a vacation.
And the toy haulers, that something that I don't. Maybe they existed when I was a kid. I don't remember them existing when I was a kid.
No.
But you got a little garage on the back of this thing
right.
for the dirt bikes, for the four-wheelers, for all that stuff. The toy haulers, it's just genius.
Yeah, these toy haulers, it's a great way to head out on the desert, go up in the mountains. They carry a ton of water, Most of them will carry 100 gallons plus. They got an onboard generator, so you don't need hookups at a campground. You can just turn your generator on, have your air, have your hot water fridge furnace being totally self-contained. They carry fuel for your toys. The ramp goes down in the back. You can put your four-wheelers, your UTVs, whatever. But maybe you're just a guy who has, or a family that has paddle boards.
Yeah.
Maybe it's kayaks. Maybe it's a big monster barbecuer. Basically, it's just a ton of extra storage, and in the trailers that are open, I really like them because they're big open areas that you can have a bunch of people come in, have a little party. If it's a fifth wheel with a separated garage, well, then you've actually got like a separate bunk room, and many of them have a second bath, separate entrance. So that garage doubles as basically a two-room unit.
That's pretty great.
Yeah,
UtahRVEvent.com, and you and I have talked about this before. I mean, we live in the perfect place.
We do, boy.
To come take advantage of the great outdoors in comfort and in style. It might not be like as big of a deal in Oklahoma where my parents live. I can tell you it's not.
Yeah.
But if you live in Utah, you're an hour or 2 or 3 hours away from like completely unique, incredible topography.
Yeah, that's what's so awesome about living here. We are completely spoiled, and it just amazes me. I feel like sometimes I talk to people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, my dream's to go to Europe," and then you get over to Europe, and their dreams to come right here in our backyard.
Yeah.
And when I hear somebody say that they haven't seen our national parks, they haven't seen our national monuments or our state parks, I feel like they are truly missing out because they are so spectacular. And I used to take my kids to them, and they just know they're having a lot of fun. I thought it was cool because they're learning things. I mean,
Sure.
Why was the land set aside? Why is this park special? Why is it here? Why does it exist? I mean, it's a great opportunity to take your family and head out on a vacation, and RV is the best way to do it.
UtahRVEvent.com. Better yet, come here to the Layton Hills Mall. We're kind of in the parking lot out front of the JCPenney. This is the northwest corner of the mall. 10 a.m. to dusk through the weekend.
Yeah, we'll be here till dusk. Unless it starts raining hard or something, which I think that's over with.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Knock
I think
on
we're
wood.
good on that. But yeah, come on down. I mean, if you maybe you don't really know what you want, and the first purchase can be something like this, and then get one for 50 cents on the dollar because somebody took it out a couple of times, and then decide what you want, and maybe someday you do something different. But it's a great way to get into an RV and take your family on a vacation.
Thanks for having us out here. We got giveaways, Utah Royals, Seattle Reign sweepstakes. We've got the ESPN stadium bags. We got some hats. We got some beer koozies, beverage koozies, I should say. Doesn't have to be beer. So swing by, say hello, and take a look at the great selection up here at the Paris RV tent sale. Used RVs, motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, truck campers, A and C class, diesel, gas. They'll find you whatever you need. Come see us. Harry Douglas is next here on the Sean O'Connell Show. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started on a Wednesday. ESPN 700, 92.1 FM.
You're tuned to the Sean O'Connell Show from the Murdoch Chevrolet studio of ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM.
All right, Sean O'Connell Show continues here. We're at Layton Hills Mall for the big RV sale. Come see us in the southwest corner of the parking lot. Trailers, fifth wheels, anything you need to get out there into the great outdoors. But time to talk a little NFL draft. We might get into the NBA playoffs. You never know. We're lucky enough to welcome Harry Douglas to the show here. Harry, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Sean.
So we've been dissecting the NFL draft and, of course, the former Utah players' involvement in it. But one of the things that keeps popping up is the L.A. Rams and their decision to draft Ty Simpson at number 13. And most of the time people are asking, hey, what does this do with Matthew Stafford? Is this a short-term plan? Is this the right short-term plan, I should say, when you've got a Super Bowl window open right now? And I totally understand why the focus is on the current starting quarterback. But what about the rest of that team? What about the Puka Nacuas of the world? What about the other guys that obviously also want to win a Super Bowl while this window is open? And a lot of people thought you could have given Matthew Stafford a target. You could have drafted like a Kenyon Sadiq or maybe one of the other wide receivers. And I'm just curious what you think the other players, not the quarterback, not Matthew Stafford, the other players in that building think about going with the potential quarterback of the future instead of someone that can help right now.
Well, initially, you probably pause for the calls and you say, a quarterback. And then you, after some time passed, you say, okay, maybe they're building for the future. But like you mentioned, this is a football team, in my opinion. I thought last year, if they would have beat the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship game, they would have went on and won a Super Bowl for a second time in the span of Matthew Stafford being the quarterback and Sean McVay being the head coach. Me personally, I would have took someone for the immediacy and added them to this roster to help me right now. Because we do know the Rams, they're going for the gusto, right? The last time they won a Super Bowl, they won it at home in SoFi Stadium. Well, guess what? The Super Bowl this year is going to be in SoFi Stadium. I can see the team's perspective in doing it. I don't hate the pick. It just would not have been my pick if I was in that position at the time. Because I want to win another Super Bowl right now. And for Matthew Stafford, if he's able to do that, I do believe he's going to, sail off in the sunset and retire. But that's also the logic and the thinking behind Sean McVay and also Les Snead. Well, hey, we need someone to replace Matthew Stafford if he does decide to retire and ride off into the sunset. But Matthew Stafford shouldn't feel any type of way. This is a guy who won the MVP last year. He's a Super Bowl champion. He means everything to that organization and the city of Los Angeles. So it's not a situation where he has to, watch behind his back if he's going to have his job. It's Super Bowl champion. That's the MVP of the league. That's not the case. But for right now and going for the gusto, I love what they did in going trading for Trent McDuffie and also getting Jalen Watson because I believe the secondary was a deficiency last year. If you wouldn't have sold that up, drafting a Mekhi Lemon or a Kenyon Sadiq would have been perfect for this offense moving forward in 2026 in this season. That was not the case. They took a quarterback instead. They're trying to build for the future.
I just mentioned Puka Nacua. Obviously, a lot of local interest in him. He played his high school ball here in Utah. He ended up transferring back to BYU after a brief time at Washington. So a lot of people very interested in his success and his future. And obviously he's gotten in his own way a little bit with off the field stuff, but on the field, he's kind of above reproach. What does a veteran or maybe a captain type teammate need to do with someone like Puka Nacua to make sure that, he stays on the right path as a player?
Well, number one, you look around at the receiver that just won a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, and you see he's the highest paid guy, and you sit down with Puka and you say, hey, man, don't let anything block your blessings and negate you from being the highest paid wide receiver in the league. The offense in Los Angeles, it is revolved around Puka Nacua. From the run game and him being able to insert between guards and tackles or tight ends and tackles and dig out safeties and block linebackers to him going in motion and the defense having to adjust from the pass game, him being a threat between the numbers, outside the numbers, making the contested catches and also being a red zone threat. But you don't want to let outside things stop you from getting your money and taking care of your family. And to be exact, it's going to be the type of money that takes care of generations down the line. So, do what you have to do right now so you can live and do what you want to do later in life. That's what I would tell Puka. Focus on the main thing. And then when you get your money, do what you feel, please.
The Cleveland Browns have been an organization that I point to, I think a lot of people point to as like dysfunctional. Everything they do seems to go wrong. But I really, really like the draft class that they pulled in this year. I love Spencer Fano for obvious reasons. They traded back and were still able to get him at 9 instead of having to use the pick at number 6. They went receiver with the 24th pick, which a lot of people thought they needed help with. And then even on down second, third, into the later rounds, I thought they added players that could potentially help this roster. Is it time for us, for me specifically, to start looking at the Browns differently and saying, like, all right, this is not a franchise that's going to continue to make the wrong choice every time? Because this draft and even some previous, extending Garrett and things like that, this might be an indication that they're headed in the right direction finally.
Well, their draft, I love every player that they took, especially the first 4. When you look at Cleveland last year, they were able to hit on a lot of their draft picks. Offensively, defensively, Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger, the running back. They were able to hit on a lot of guys. Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end. This is the second year in a row that we've seen this team really make some good selections across the board. You mentioned Spencer Fanu at the tackle position, Casey Concepcion, he was one of my favorite receivers coming out. And I thought one of the sleepers was going to be Denzel Boston. Well, they got both of them. And then a guy that a lot of people thought was going to go in the first round, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, looked to them in the second round, they were able to get him. So you look at Justin Jefferson at the linebacker position from Alabama, Taylor Green, a very athletic quarterback. I know they have a lot of quarterbacks in there already, but a guy with athleticism that's off the charts. I really love what Andrew Berry has done from a draft perspective the last 2 years. And then also when you look at Todd Monken now being a head coach and getting his first chance to be able to be in that role, he's trying to make a change and change the culture in Cleveland right now. Now, they're hoping they can hit on the quarterback position with Shedeur Sanders or if it's Deshaun Watson. But what you're doing for your quarterbacks is you're surrounding them with excellent pieces, so there's no excuse why they can't succeed. And I like it.
Harry Douglas, our guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show. You can hear him alongside Freddie Coleman on ESPN Radio. He is also a 10-year NFL vet. When you look at these draft picks and you see these guys, obviously first-rounders we expect to do big things. But when you get into the third round, the fourth round, and we saw a bunch of day 3 picks from the local schools around here, what separates a guy who's going to be in the NFL for a year or two from the guys who can hang around for a decade like you were able to do?
I would say the ability to play special teams and let go of the individualism and be more team-oriented. You have to do that if you're a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round pick or even a college free agent. You have to play special teams. I remember my rookie season, I was a 3rd round pick. My rookie season, I played a lot in the slot, but then we had a returner, have some mishaps. They let him go, and I had to go back there and be the returner. And it was my first time ever in my life doing punt returns. But, I was able to be coached up by my special teams coach at the time, Keith Armstrong, and my receiver coach who worked with returners, Terry Rabisky, and was able to make an impact doing it. But you need guys that's going to be on the kickoff cover team, on punt block and the punt team and kickoff return. So you have to be able to excel at special teams and understand your role on the team. You might be a special teams player early on in your career, but that may also lead to a coach saying that, hey, we need to put him in a starting role on defense, or we need to get him more touches on offense. And that's how you have to look at it to be able to have longevity in this league when you're not a first round or a second round draft pick and you're, picked in those later rounds.
The first time you returned punts was in the NFL?
Yeah, very first time.
But how nerve-wracking.
I remember doing the Senior Bowl, and I remember the San Francisco 49ers, that was the coaching staff, and Mike Martz was the OC, and they were teaching me how to catch him like back then. And then when I got to Atlanta, I just did it every single day, before practice, after practice. But I'll tell you, the very first time when they came in that meeting room and told me that I was going to be the punt returner, I was like, oh, boy. And in my very first time back there returning it, what helped me out is that I had a guy that I played in college with named Antoine Harris, and he was one of the vice men holding up the gunners on the outside. The fact that I trusted him so much from college, I wasn't too worried. And we had him and Brent Grimes were together. And then we had a guy named D. Hall that was on the other side. And D. Hall and Grimey and Twan used to take guys to the Gatorade cooler as vice men. So I was never worried. I was just nervous, like, man, this is my first time doing it. But I was never worried about those guys getting their blocks.
It's such a fascinating skill for me. I was a linebacker, fullback type, so they don't throw us back to return punts ever, right? It's such a fascinating skill, very specific, to be able to catch the punt, field the punt, first of all, but then to know, the right move, the first move. I played with a guy in college who he had like a spidey sense. He would not look, but he would catch that ball, and he just knew from feel, peripheral vision, whatever, the right first move to make, and he was always getting 5 to 10 yards instead of that first man tackling him. And it always fascinated me, that particular skill, because it's a blind spot. You got to keep your eye on the ball to field the ball correctly. We've seen it so many times when you take your eyes off it and then you muff that punt because you're looking at the coverage. I don't know how anyone, yourself included, is ever able to do it.
Well, it's not the easiest, but it's all about instincts and feeling things around you from a body perspective. And, I'd say this, everyone can't do it because you also do have people coming down trying to take your head off and trying to separate you from the football. So it is definitely a skill that you have to have. And, coaches always tell the returners this. Number one, your number one job is to make sure you secure the football. But number two, you can't block everybody. You have to have the ability to make the first man miss. If you can't make the first man miss, you're a pretty crappy punt returner.
Back to the draft. So which team do you think helped themselves the most with the draft picks specifically?
I'll start with Kansas City. From a Super Bowl contending standpoint, we knew that they had lost a lot defensively. But them being able to, number one, trade up to number 6 and get Mansour Delane secondary, right? You lost 2 guys, one via trade, one via free agency to the Los Angeles Rams and Watson and McDuffie. But they get Mansour Delane, and in the first round again, they get Peter Woods, a defensive tackle out of Clemson. And then in the second round, they got R. Mason Thomas. And then from Oregon, you get a safety and Jaden Kennedy, who can do a lot of different things on the football field for you. So I really like what they were able to do in Kansas City.
I don't like the soap opera TMZ stuff as it crosses over to sports, and I think that's where we've gotten with the Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini thing. I mean, we're here in Salt Lake City. You got people chasing him through the airport as he's coming in for his counseling or whatever. From a locker room perspective, how is this going to be handled? Will it affect anything that the Patriots are trying to do this year?
No, I think they're going to be fine. Mike Vrabel does a great job of keeping his team locked in, those players taking on his personality as well. And look, this is what I tell people in the world. See, I'm old school. My mom and daddy raised me different. I don't worry about other people's business. You see what I'm saying? I worry about what I need to do and going about my day. I don't worry about people's household. I don't worry about other people's business. I worry about being the best version of myself every single day. That's just me.
It's probably the right way to handle a situation like this because you got no control over it one way or another. Harry Douglas is our guest here for another minute or two on the Sean O'Connell Show. Are we going to see Aaron Rodgers playing in the NFL? And I guess the Steelers put that UFA tender on him, so if he does play, it'll be in Pittsburgh.
I don't know. You never know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. Now, I'm probably going to see him this weekend because I'm going to the Kentucky Derby, and usually where I'm sitting at in the Turf Club, he's right outside and, has his friends with him every single year, Devontae Adams and the crew. I may mess around, and if I run into him, Aaron, what are you going to do? Can you give us a decision? Tell me so I can go on my show and break the news.
He promised he wouldn't leave it until June. By the time you see him, it's at least going to be May, so – you got leverage to force him to tell you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I've never been to the Kentucky Derby. That's a bucket list type thing. Tell me about what that experience is.
It's just great. Me going to the University of Louisville and being there. I used to live right across the street from Churchill Downs, so used to charge people for parking and whatnot in the area where I lived. And those horse races, man, people coming in, being decked out. I love dressing up in suits. I'm literally right now ironing my dress shirt. I iron my shirt after it comes out the cleaners. That's just me. I'm ironing my shirts so they can be nice and crispy for all the suits I'm going to wear this weekend. But it's a treat. My wife loves going as well. So, and then also to be able to get back to the city of Louisville, that played an instrumental part of my growth growing up and being the man that I am. So it's always great to get back there.
Your wife do the big hat and everything?
Yeah, sometimes she does. Sometimes I do it too. I have a brother-in-law that owns a hat company called Hatrimony, and he's actually I'm gonna wear a sage color suit this year with a tan tie and a tan pocket square. So he's actually making me a hat this year to go with it.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you giving us some time today. Before I let you go, the proposed rule changes in the NCAA say that 5 years to play 5 in college football. They're trying to push this forward 5 years from your high school graduation or when you turn 19. Is that a reasonable fix in your mind for the situation that has developed in NCAA football?
Yes, enough of these people spending 7, 8 years in college. What are we doing? You should not be spending 7, 8 years in college, man. Get in there, 4 or 5 year span, be out of there, go on with your life. Time to move on, fellas or ladies.
Get the degree in that 5 years. No excuse if you can't graduate in 5 years. Be done and head off into the workforce. Or if you're lucky enough, play some pro sports like Harry Douglas, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, enjoy the Derby. Tell Freddie Coleman we said hello. You guys do an incredible job. And again, thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Harry Douglas. You can hear Freddie in HD, Freddie Coleman and Harry Douglas on ESPN Radio. And guess what? That's us, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Lots to get to on the Sean O'Connell Show.
All right, Craig Bolerjack is going to join us here in just a few minutes. But for the hot lunch on the Sean O'Connell Show, we are up here at the Paris RV tent sale in the parking lot of the Layton Hills Mall. Brett's kind enough to join us again to talk about, well, exactly what we're looking at here. These are used RVs. I walked into a couple of them. We were just playing a recorded interview. I walked into a couple of them, Brett. They don't look used at all. Where are you getting these things?
Yeah, so they come from a variety of areas. Some of them are factory buybacks, so, the factories always call me. I guess they know I'm the guy in the Intermountain West, so they call me and they go, hey, we got a deal. And then it's kind of a negotiation with them, and I do my best to buy them as low as I can. And so that's where a lot of them come from. And then, of course, trade-ins. We get a ton of trade-ins. People like to buy a new RV every 4.2 years. And so, when you're selling 2,500 RVs a year, you get a lot of trades, So, yeah, we get a lot that way. And then we've got a whole bunch. This whole area over here are rental returns. And those motorhomes look brand new. They look brand new. They usually run them for 1 year. And then if there's anything wrong with them, they flat out do whatever it takes to make them look brand new. And they're sitting here. And, the thing of it is they're 40 grand, 50 grand less than a new one, the exact same model new. And they do have a little bit extra miles on them, but it's like, okay, your average person buys that motorhome. They go out, 10 times a year, put 6,000, 7,000 miles on them because we just go to the mountains or out to the desert.
Sure.
And in 3 years, they're normal miles. No one would ever even know the difference yet. You save 40, 50%, off the price of a new one. And then some of them are some repos, so we get some repos here and there that the banks and credit unions and stuff call on us to try to help liquidate. So we go through, we check every single one of them. We make sure fridge, furnace, electrical, water, propane, air conditioning, generator are good. We give them a detail. We put brand new batteries on them, fill them full of propane. And, it's a great way to get your family out and have a vacation every single weekend.
Whatever it is you're driving, they got something you can haul. If you're looking for a motorhome itself, they've got options, all sizes, all up and down. A price point for pretty much everyone. If you're the young family just trying to get into it, if you're a little more established and you know exactly what you're looking for, you've got something along the whole range of price points here.
Yeah, and some of them, again, like I walked in that Kodiak over there, and I'm an expert on RVs. I would have never have known anybody has ever used that
Wow.
trailer. I mean, it's a bunkhouse travel trailer. There's no way. If I set that next to a new one on the ground, I couldn't tell the difference. So why not save yourself 10 grand off the price of a new one? It looks brand new. It's a year old. Come get it.
And there's financing options
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, financing, not a problem. We just arrange it here. We've got 40 banks and credit unions, so we just put you in the computer, figure out where's the least expensive way to go. We've got no down options, so you can come down here and get one no down, and a way to kind of figure a payment. It's about $10 for every 1,000. So if you got a $20,000 RV, it's about $200 a month.
10 a.m. to dusk from now through the weekend. UtahRVEvent.com. Brett, you're the right guy. What's a little incentive we can throw out to the people listening on ESPN 700?
I'll tell you what. Anybody who comes in that say they heard me on ESPN 700, I'm going to give them $1,000 off of anything on the ground. You just pick one, I'll give you $1,000 off just because you're an ESPN listener.
So walk around. They got the prices right on the door, right inside every door. There's no confusion. You know exactly what it costs. Tell Brett or anybody you heard about it on ESPN 700. You knock $1,000 off that price.
Yep, that's a great way to start this out.
Let's go. Layton Hills Mall, Paris RV tent sale. It's happening right now. We're out here. I've got some giveaways. We're right in the middle of all this, so come say hello. We also have giveaways coming up later. Red West is coming back to Salt Lake City, the Red West Festival. We've got Ella Langley, Shabuzi, Sam Tucker, and many more. Topical trivia. We'll do that at 1:45-ish. We'll give away a trivia question, pair of Red West passes. That's October 16th and 17th at the Utah State Fair Park. Craig Bolerjack joins us next. What does he think of the new anti-tanking proposal that the NBA is putting in front of teams? We'll find out in 3 minutes on the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. All right, we're efforting Craig Bowler, Jack, the voice of the Utah Jazz, and a 4-time Emmy Award winner. No big deal. Man, the NBA making a lot of noise right now with some incredible playoff series, but for the Utah Jazz not involved in that, you're looking towards the future. You're looking towards Mother's Day and the upcoming draft lottery. Some big news around A.J. DeBonsa we're going to get to in the Daily Dump, as well as he has extended his partnership with Nike, and there's some cool things associated with that. We talked earlier, we started the show talking about the Utah Jazz being the sort of impetus, or at least being the poster children of the NBA's anti-tanking crusade that was a lot performative, let's be honest, disingenuous, ridiculous in a lot of ways, deciding that the Jazz were somehow a problem, even though the league had this problem for many, many years. But if what it has given us is the proposal, they call it the 3-2-1 lottery, where they have now created a system that flattens the odds, expands the lottery to 16 teams, and actually punishes the bottom 3 teams in the league by reducing their odds, taking away a lottery ball from them. Maybe this will go a long way towards fixing some of what the league decided was a Jazz problem, but really is a league problem with tanking. And we'll get to that conversation and much more about these playoffs with Craig Bowler, Jack, who joins us now. Bowler, welcome back to the show. How are you, sir?
Hey, OC. Well, how you been?
I'm doing all right. You know, I got little kids that hit me with the cold that they brought home from school, but you know, we're not digging ditches,
I've been
Bowler.
there, man.
So, yeah,
I hear you.
In this business, it makes you sound pretty ridiculous for 3-4 hours a day, but it's fine. I feel okay. I sound pretty bad. I wanted to pick your brain about this proposal that we're seeing from the NBA, the anti-tanking measures that they're pushing towards the general managers, the team presidents, the owners of all 30 NBA teams, saying, hey, this is how we think we can fix tanking, this 3-2-1 lottery. I'm sure you've at least looked at the cliff notes. What do you think of the broad strokes?
Oh, yeah. I'd say, OC, there's some interesting, potential, new rules here. I thought it was interesting they would expand the lottery to 16 teams. You just mentioned about trying to flatten the odds that the bottom 3 teams would get the fewer, lottery balls, the ping pong balls, and it starts in 27. The other thing that was intriguing, too, is the Jazz got caught in this, too, by protecting their pick. And the teams, I thought this was maybe the most important one, was that the teams would now not be able to protect picks in the 12 and 15 slots, going forward. They have to do something that would allow teams just to play on and not have to worry about what a former general manager or front office did 5 years prior, right, to protect a pick, and that now you inherit. So I thought that was intriguing. And the other part, they haven't handcuffed themselves, OC, in the sense of long-term. They look to experiment with this and then revise it or look at it again in 2029. So that's probably a good thing, too. Don't handcuff yourself or put yourself in a corner for such a long period of time. See if these new proposals, how they work, how teams respond, and does it help? And I sure hope it does, because, again, it comes down just to fans need the best product on the floor every given night. And, it's you made another point coming on, and, it's just not the Jazz. This has been an issue for several years now throughout the NBA, and it just became, more in the headlights this season because I think, obviously, this is a very powerful draft. And a lot of teams were jockeying, trying to, be in that top 5, top 7 pick selection. So I just hope it works. I'm not sure this is the perfect scenario. Maybe there isn't one, but you got to start someplace, and hopefully this will be the beginning of trying to, calm this down.
I probably got more upset than I had any business being with the Jazz being singled out this year with the largest fine for tanking. I felt like that was – pretty unfair, pretty disingenuous of the commissioner's office and things like that. And because I have that sort of stance, I noticed a little kind of throwaway line in here on the new proposal. The league is also looking to expand their authority to enforce, these rules, and potentially that could be penalizing draft picks. That could be larger fines. If I'm Ryan Smith in the Utah Jazz specifically, I want to know exactly what that expanded authority looks like, because I think the league has given us examples of the fact that they don't treat everybody equally. And I don't mean to suggest that they would continue to single out the Jazz, but I would want to know, if I was an owner, exactly what the league's authority really looks like.
No, that's a great point, OC. Look, on given nights when you see suspensions or fines, they differ, and you don't know really why. Do they determine it on past grievances with another player, or how he's handled the situation on being kicked out? With multiple, like a Draymond Green, gets talked about a lot, about him constantly being tossed and how he's fined. But you make a great point. People may forget that the Jazz won that game in Miami that they singled out with a $500,000 fine. So, yeah, I get it. I don't know if OKC raised an eyebrow because they had interest in this draft, obviously, and they're now awaiting round 2 with a clean sweep in round 1. So, yeah, I think it'd be smart for an ownership group, governors of their teams, to say, look, can you be more specific so we know what we're jumping into? Not sure if the league will give them that type of insider look, but I think they should, in case something like this jumps up again.
Bowler, I go back to this time last year, and all of us were hoping that the Jazz had maximized their lottery odds, and it's going to be Cooper Flag, and it's Cooper Flag or bust. And obviously it didn't end up being Cooper Flag, but that draft was not nearly so deep as this one is. And by the way, the Jazz ended up getting Ace, and he ended up being a really great player. So we should adjust our expectations accordingly, I think. But this is a deeper draft, and the Jazz, we know they hold on to their pick. We know it'll be no lower than 8. And still, you got your percentage chance of being the number 1, and then you can get AJ and have that perfect scenario work out. But it feels different this time around, that it does, like, as much as we love AJ DeBonsa and we're so familiar with him, we got to watch his college career up close and personal. It's still, I think this year feels a little bit different. Like, hey, if we end up picking at 5, 6, or 7, whereas last year that was a disappointment, this year people feel like, hey, there's a good player there. Is that because it's that much deeper a draft, or is it because of how well Ace Bailey worked out?
Well, I think it's a combo, but you hit on Ace. Look, aces are wild. Use any cliche you want, but this young kid really developed quicker than most would have expected for a 19-year-old. And, yeah, there was a huge disappointment that rang out. I remember the night the draft lottery was announced. I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Picking number 5, the Utah Jazz. I thought, really? This is the reward after winning 17 games last year, the worst record in the NBA, and that's all you can get. And then, of course, Dallas had the injuries in the trade. Doncic goes to L.A. and Kyrie, the ACL, and 1.8% chance in Luka, and is all of a sudden forgotten. And now you got the Rookie of the Year sitting right there. How about that? Knipple, finishes number 2 in the Rookie of the Year voting. I mean, incredible talents, both of them. But I don't think there's as much panic, OC, to get to your point, because I think the development that we saw in these last 82 games with the likes of Flip and the likes of Ace and Isaiah Collier, Keontae, obviously, and Bryce Sensabaugh. I mean, I think there's more comfort with the fan base thinking that this is a much deeper roster with multiple angles, multiple lineups that Will Hardy can use on a given night. That is if they re-sign, Walker Kessler. But I think that's the exciting part. And then the other flip side of this is a pretty intriguing draft. Most front office guys I talk to around the league, including the Jazz, I say, do you draft by need, or do you draft by the best player? And most of the time you hear, we're going to take the best athlete, the best player available when we get the pick. So that's intriguing. And so AJ most likely is number one. Where do you go from there, right? I mean, the kid from KU has had some ups and downs. Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer from Duke. I mean, he's in top three discussion, top four. The Jazz have been kind of tied in with the kid Caleb Wilson, a power forward from North Carolina who gives you 20 and 9. So there's a lot of talk, but you just have to wait to see how everything falls into place. But I think the Jazz still will go with the best player available, OC. Don't know if they're a position that the Jazz obviously are looking for. But again, and I'm saying that because I think Keontae made such a huge climb this year. And is he the point guard of the future? Only a couple people know that. And that includes the Ainge, both Ainges and Justin Zanuck and the ownership group and Will Hardy.
Craig Bolerjack is my guest here on the Sean O'Connell Show. We're talking a little NBA basketball. So the context of all this Utah Jazz discussion, of course, we hang on an NBA draft lottery that is going to be taking place on Mother's Day, and we'll see how it works out. And then, of course, you got to try to develop that draft pick. But right now we're watching NBA playoffs, and there are a couple teams in the West that have already closed out their series. OKC with the sweep, the gentleman's sweep from the San Antonio Spurs. And Bowler, you know this better than I. Those are young teams still. Those are the teams that you're chasing, and you're trying to climb into that stratosphere with this pick for the Jazz and with development of the roster that you've got right now. When you watch what OKC and San Antonio are right now, I mean, how steep is that climb for this Jazz franchise?
Yeah, the Jazz are chipping away, but it's a climb that you have to. As you've seen Oklahoma City, they did get the one player in SGA that kind of lofted them to the next level, the next hemisphere, so to speak. The only thing that takes out the Thunder, in my opinion, is injury. They were the best team that I saw all season long on both sides of the floor. Their defense was outstanding. That's why they won a title a year ago. How difficult is it, OC, to repeat? Just to get there. Ask the Jazz, 97-98. Just to get there is an incredible accomplishment, but to win makes it even more impressive. But right now I think the Thunder are the best team in the NBA. The Spurs maybe played some of their best basketball after the All-Star break. And then you have a potential upset here of maybe an 0-0 moment if Minnesota goes on to knock off the Nuggets. And then you have to wonder about the future of what the Lakers and the Rockets are doing. But with LeBron, they could take that series against Houston, and that could make Houston kind of rethink where they're going. And why I say that is because, OC, as you know, in the off season, everyone's playing chess. Move a piece here, move a piece there. I'll trade out here, and then you have to kind of redefine what you're trying to do. In the East, I still think Detroit's the better team. The teams that I saw. The Celtics have to be talked about because they've been there, and they've got Tatum back. And then the Hawks have been playing kind of surprising hoop. They're down in that series, but New York seems to be a little bit shaky. So that's why you play. I love this time of year. I love the tournament, the NCAA tournament, and I love what I see in the NBA right now.
Do you love the NCAA tournament enough that you want to see 76 teams in it every year?
No. It's got, you know what, I hope, and it won't happen. They're gonna change it because it's just so popular, but you dilute it. You know what? That's why you play, Sean. You what do they tell you every day on the field, man? Work hard, play hard, and gain. And what the gain is winning. And I just don't think everyone deserves to be there. In fact, I know they shouldn't. That's why you play. And the Bell Arena at Boise. All 4 games were buzzer beaters to end it. I remember Greg Gumbel that day said, "Ring the bell, Taco Bell." It was fun. I just don't want to see it. I just don't want to see it get so diluted that, what are you going to do now? Well, we deserve there to. We played 500 ball. We deserve to be there too. No, you don't. I mean, this is why you play to earn the spot. Maybe I'm old school, but I know money talks, and that's really what it's all about. And someone's going to have to make a stand and just say, you know what, the play-in gives you a couple of outsiders, right, already, and I just don't think you need to overload it.
And I know I'm getting a little convoluted here, but we were talking about how money kind of pushes so much of this change forward, and you're absolutely right. That's why the NCAA tournament looks like it's going to expand to 76 teams. It's a big reason why the NBA feels like they had to react to some of these tanking things because they've got sponsorship partners, most of them in the sports betting world, that didn't like what they were seeing with the tanking and the manipulation of results for their bettors, their wagerers. And we're seeing a college kid, a college quarterback at Texas Tech University who's checking into a rehab facility for a sports gambling problem. I'm not naive, Bowler.
Yeah.
I know that people have been betting on sports for a long time. Now it's in your phone, it's in your hand. You got the apps. And I know plenty of people who can do it responsibly, and it doesn't take over their life, and they would never even think about, putting themselves or their family in a bad position. I know athletes who like to gamble, and they would do it recreationally without ever even thinking about betting on their own sport or their own team. But as we have accepted, as we have embraced sports betting as a normal part of American culture, the bleed over into sports and these point shaving scandals and these, hey, that's a starting quarterback betting on his own team or on his own sport. Maybe we shouldn't allow that. And now he's going to have his final year of eligibility taken away. Have we jumped the shark? Have we gone too far with the sports betting stuff?
Sean, in one word, I say yes. But where do we go to pull ourselves back? Look, I think everyone knew what they were getting into, and it's dangerous territory. The betting is for real. You said a great point. This has been going on since day one. The Black Sox scandal of 100 years ago. I mean, betting is like, it's if you have two teams playing, well, who's going to win? Well, I'll bet you they are. It sounds like a real simpleton. I'll bet you $1. Then all of a sudden it's grown into what we know today. And it's parlays. I mean, I can't even understand half the stuff, OC, honestly, that people try to bet on different tangibles that come into play. And I think why the league also personally was concerned is that from my standpoint, on a given game night, and I wait for the final injury report, in the last 20 or 30 games of the year, on some of those reports, combined teams would have 20 or so players not available. And so I think you make a great point, is that impacts what the betting line will be, the plus minus on a given night. And so that's the other issue, is trying to appease corporations and companies that are involved, and also allow the fan to have what they, quote, call a fair bet. But I don't get into that territory, man. I can't. The NBA doesn't allow it for me, which is good. And, we have to take a test and pass it every year on knowing about, potential issues and people. OC, I'm sure even in what you do every day. What do you know, OC? What's your inside scoop? I can't talk about that. That's just something we're not supposed to do, and I get it. But it's more difficult, I think, day by day, because it's such a integral part of the sports news and sports talk radio. And it's difficult because it is such a huge topic and a moneymaker right now, not only in the NBA. We're talking baseball, NFL, college hoops, college football. It's out there, and it's a monster. How do you tame it? Man, I don't know if you can.
All right, before I let you go, this one is pretty unserious, but James and I are going to go through an exercise where we try to make sure we've got the right nicknames on all these Utah Mammoth players as they're in a heated playoff series with the Vegas Golden Knights. Still the team
Right.
and some of the roster still new to the community, so we got to make sure we're, Veggie's an obvious one, but what about the other guys? We're going to go through an exercise. How many nicknames has Craig Bolerjack bestowed upon a player and they've actually stuck?
Oh, man. That's a great one, OC. Just with the Jazz off the top of my head, two guys come into play. I mean, Hot Rod was, the all-time best. I think Money Man with Memo, he was blowing, on his fingers and shoveling, handing out $10 bills or something every time he knocked down a three. And then the Flame with Jordan Clarkson, Flame on. Big T and I kind of coined that a little bit. And then when a player takes it and runs with it, that's almost the intriguing part of it, because he's hearing that from other fans and friends as well. But those two jump out the most. Nicknames come and go. Several, with Triple J. Don't know if we'll find something for him, but he's been in the league eight years, going on 9, so he's well established. But you always kind of look at the younger players and see what, like Bryce. Hey, it makes sense, Senzabaugh. It just kind of rolls off your tongue.
Yeah.
And the old days with Ronnie Price. The Price is Right. I mean, anything you can just to have some fun. Some fans roll their eyes, but I think it's nicknames kind of come with a business, and it's almost it's a compliment. That a player garners that much attention, and that his play makes you coin a phrase on occasion. But I love JC and the Flame, and Memo the Money Man was some of the best. Carl came in with a mailman.
Yeah.
And Stockton to Malone. I mean, I don't know how many times Hot Rod was able to say that. Stockton to Malone. But you couldn't say one without the other. That was the beauty of that combo. And it's rare that you get the opportunity as a play-by-play announcer to have, combinations like that that allow you to build a phrase that just becomes commonplace. Stockton to Malone ought to be in the Webster Dictionary. I mean, just as, great combinations, great power forwards and point guards. But those two guys built their own. That's why the statues are out there. I mean, look what they did on the floor. It's unbelievable. It's fun. It's fun to see players grow, and fans will sometimes give them, that nickname as well. And there's a lot of them around the league, which makes it even more fun.
Well, Bowler, can't tell you how much I appreciate your time. Wish we were listening to you calling some Jazz games in these playoffs, but I think we'll get to that sooner than later after this last year. So thanks again for your time, Bowler.
I'm looking forward to October. Hey, by the way, take some Dayquil.
Yeah, I need something. We'll talk soon.
All right, thanks.
That's Craig Bowler-Jack, voice of the Utah Jazz. Money Man, that's a good one for Memo. He threw that out there. We're up here at the Paris RV tent sale at Layton Hills Mall. It started at 10 a.m. today. We're going to go 10 a.m. to dusk through the weekend. Troy is up here peddling his wares, and the right guy to talk to, which, by the way, Brett joined us, and he said anyone who comes up and mentions that they heard about the sale on ESPN 700, $1,000 off the sticker price on any of these used RVs, tent trailers, fifth wheels. Troy, you guys got everything up here.
We got everything. I just want to stop you on one thing. Was it only 1,000? I thought we were giving free trailers to whoever mentioned your name.
Wow. I wish I had that kind of clout. I wish I had that kind of power.
I hope Brett's not listening.
He's right there, and he is listening, and he's giving you the dirty look.
Yeah, but hey, we got everything here. So basically the reason we do these shows is to help us to unload some used inventory. Cool thing about Paris RV, we don't charge all the fees. So a lot of dealers will charge prep fees, charge you for batteries. The only thing we charge is sales tax, license, and a dock fee. We got everything priced here extremely aggressive. And we just did a show down in the Southtown Center, down in Provo, and it went off like a hit because everything is so affordable. We prepped everything. Everything's had a major systems check on it. We include 2 batteries, full propane, and literally we have just about a little bit of everything. So we have anything from, let's see, our least expensive item here is only $5,000, going up to about probably $150,000. We have on-the-spot financing. Everything's ready to rock and roll. We take trades, and we will have more fun than humanly thought possible. You need to come see us. I'm Troy. I'm actually just the director of fun here. It's my job to make sure everybody's have more fun than humanly thought possible, and we sell you a trailer.
Right. So don't when you come up, all respect to the other folks wandering around, ask for Troy. He's going to make sure that you have more fun. And tell him You heard about it on ESPN 700. You will get $1,000 off. You won't get a free trailer, although Troy might try to give you one.
Well, you might get a free one for the first 45 days. Then we send you a little donation book in the mail.
All right. They got financing options. They've got an incredible inventory, and these are used, but they take great care of them, and they do the inspections, and they do the recharges, and they make sure that all the essential systems in these RVs are working for you. So when you take this thing off the lot, it is ready to go. You don't have to swing it by a shop and make sure that the propane's filled up. Troy, I could pull up with my truck. I could drive straight from buying this thing out to the camp.
Amen. Yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. We'll even come with you.
You don't have to in my truck, but you could. Layton Hills Mall, 10 a.m. to dusk through the weekend. The used RVs from all over the country at the Paris RV tent sale. Tell them OC sent you. They'll give you $1,000 off.
Let's do it.
We got the Daily Dump coming next. We got Between the Pipes with Adrian Denny still to come. We are rolling on a Wednesday. It's the Sean O'Connell Show, ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. That's Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning to you. The truck with the duck handles it all. Go to valleyplumbing.com. Make your appointment right there online. Tell them OC sent you. They can take care of your plumbing needs, your heating needs, your air conditioning needs, your vent cleaning, whatever's plaguing the home. The Festival of Teas is on, and it's on right now, powered by the Utah Golf Association, brought to you by Mountain Home Services. We are giving away free rounds of golf to the best courses in the state every day here on the Sean O'Connell Show and on the Drive with Spence Checketts. So you can listen there from 2 to 6 for your chance to win. Today's course is Eaglewood up in North Salt Lake. An 18-hole wonder loved by all who play it. Rolling hills, lush fairways, and a floating green. This golf course will challenge you and make you remember why you love golf. To reach the Pro Shop, call 801-299-0088. That's Eaglewood. And the Festival of Teas is on right now, 877-353-0700. All right, we were talking about the NBA tanking stuff, the NBA anti-tanking stuff. The Utah Jazz got the largest fine for tanking in the NBA this year. Which team got the second largest fine? 877-353-0700. If you know the answer to that, we'll give you a free round at Eaglewood. All right, let's get to the daily dump here. A.J. DeBonsa, who is the presumed number one pick in the upcoming NBA draft, has extended his Nike partnership. Remember, he had a Nike deal independent of what BYU was paying him to be part of things down there in Provo. His NIL deal with Nike was, of course, lucrative and groundbreaking for him. He has extended that to his pro career. He will be a Nike athlete, to nobody's surprise, as a pro. He got his own logo, which is like a lot of athletes get sponsored, a lot of athletes get partnerships in the NBA, and Nike's talked about this recently. Like, their stock was in bad shape for a little bit. I don't know what it looks like today. There was conversation about whether or not the popularity of NBA players, the signature shoes, were affecting the overall performance of Nike, but they're going all in on A.J. DeBonsa. They've given him his own logo, the Starboy logo. Apparently, Starboy was a nickname for A.J. DeBonsa when he was younger, and the Starboy logo is just that. It's a star, but it's made up of kind of abstract A's and J's because, AJ. It's a cool logo, and he's going to have his own signature series of stuff. He's going to have his own shoe. A.J. DeBonsa might be the first guy to play at a local university who got his own shoe. Does anyone else have their own shoe? Does Jimmer have his own shoe? Certainly not his own Nike shoe. He might have like an Anta from his days in Chinese basketball.
I was gonna say some Chinese brand. I've never heard of Anta. So some Chinese brand like that maybe has given him a shoe and a logo.
You have for sure heard of Anta, James.
I don't know Anta.
Anta is they've got a bunch of NBA guys that they. Let me see who's Anta NBA players. Let's see who's got an Anta deal. Okay. Kyrie Irving wears those Anta shoes. Like he has those ones that look like they have fringe on them.
I suppose I'm like one of the weird sports people who don't notice people's shoes, to be honest with you.
Okay,
so
that's
I don't.
interesting.
Yeah,
I'm the opposite of that. Klay Thompson has a lifetime deal with Anta.
Yeah,
apparently.
I just Googled them. I've never seen these shoes before in my life.
Wait. Did we miss this?
I thought Anta was spelled with an O. That's how much I've never heard of Anta.
Oh, it's A-N-T-A.
Yeah.
I now have to look this up. This is taking me down a rabbit hole. I did not. Steph Curry, remember, was an Under Armour athlete, and as of April 2026, reports suggest Steph Curry is in advanced talks or has potentially already signed. Now, he hasn't signed it, or they would have made a big deal out of it.
Oh, yeah.
A massive long-term deal with Chinese brand Anta, with some reports speculating it could be a lifetime agreement worth over $1 billion.
He's taking that then, right? There's no way.
And then here's another report
turn that
Steph
down.
Curry has agreed to a 10-year, $750 million deal.
Jeez.
What? Also, Anta, Steph Curry's not going to play 10 more years, right? Now, I think Steph will be famous still.
Yeah.
He'll stay in the spotlight, but you're getting the last 2 years of Steph Curry's career and then another 8 on top of it for $750 million.
I don't know this for sure. Again, not really a sneakerhead, but I don't know if they kept making Kobe's after he retired and before he unfortunately tragically passed away.
Yes,
but that's a guy. Yeah, that's a guy that they could have kept selling new Kobe shoes. I could see that being the same way for Steph. So I don't know that a 10-year deal, even if 8 of them, he's not actually an active player, would be all that bad for a shoe brand.
I don't know. Okay, so this is interesting because I think you might need to kind of establish the shoe while he's in the NBA.
Yeah. Good point. Because Jordans keep getting made, but Jordan was Air Jordan brand for his entire for almost a 20-year NBA career. And then they kept making them.
Like the Jordans that people collect, and it's not just because he wore them. Obviously, it's because they're stylish shoes. They're well designed shoes. They're actually beautiful works of art if you're into this kind of stuff. But the hot selling Jordans are shoes that Michael Jordan actually wore.
Yeah.
During his NBA career. They've made they're up to Jordan 40s or something, but you're still selling the Jordan 1s and the Jordan 4s and the Jordan 11s and 13s. Those were shoes he actually wore. And the different colorways and all that stuff continue to sell like hotcakes and continue to be major collectibles and stuff. So, Anta, if you signed Steph Curry, awesome. Good for you. Love me some Steph Curry. He is the most, in my opinion, the most likable of all the NBA stars out there. But you better hit an absolute home run on the Steph Curry shoe that you're going to design. Also, Steph, I understand why $750 million sounds awesome, but damn you for not giving us a Steph Curry Nike shoe.
I know, that was the obvious front runner to sign him after he ended his deal with Under Armour. He's he's going to be a Nike guy. That's a bummer if we miss out on a Steph Curry Nike shoe if he signs with Anta instead.
I mean, every public appearance that Steph made after being released from the Under Armour deal, he was wearing Nikes or Jordans.
Yeah, because he could for the first time.
Yeah, he had this collection that he wanted to roll out.
I mean, he's from Charlotte, so I'm sure he's gotten plenty of hookups, directly from Jordan over the years.
I would like to see that. I also, I'm not opposed to a newcomer. I'm not opposed to a new mover in the sneaker market. If Anta gives us a cool shoe, I think Kyrie's sort of complicated personality probably makes it so.
Yeah.
People don't love the shoe sometimes, but he's got, I forget what they're called. He's got a really cool pair of shoes that look like they have a fringe hanging off the top of them. It's a really unique design. So,
I think I found it when I did the old Google search. Yeah, it is a cool design with the little fringe. But yeah, I'm weird that way. I'll watch games with my brother and a couple some friends who are big time sneakerheads, and I'll be watching the game and then they'll pause it and go and zoom in, check out the shoes, and I'm I missed that completely. I was looking at the 3-point shot, but whatever.
Yeah, that's if you're watching and you're watching for the basketball, James, you're really missing out. You should. One thing I don't like now is how many people wear a shoe that is completely outside of the colorway of the uniform.
Yeah.
where you're wearing like a hot pink shoe and your Celtics uniform. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Donovan liked to wear the bright orange shoes occasionally with the Jazz, and he probably has continued that with Cleveland. And it was like, man, I know trying to show personality and whatever, but like I feel like matching's the best way to go.
Well, by all means, Donovan, wear the bright orange shoe when you're wearing the City Edition uniform that's got orange in it. That's great.
He'd wear it. He'd wear it with like the navy blue. You know, when they had the navy blue road jerseys. He'd wear it. It's like, come on.
It's hideous. And guys will wear like the weird like highlighter yellow shoes. They'll wear the mismatching shoes again, which is fine. It's cool if you're wearing if you're a Dallas Maverick and you're wearing one blue shoe and one black shoe, or one blue shoe and one white shoe, I'm on board. If you're a Dallas Maverick and you're wearing one bright green shoe and one bright yellow shoe, you just look dumb, okay? And now I sound like an old man yelling at kids to get off my lawn with their fancy shoes. I got to remember that a lot of these guys are like 20 years old.
Yeah. They're still figuring out what looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pay close attention now to what Steph Curry's shoe deal future looks like, because if Ante closes this thing out and makes the official announcement from the company itself, that's a pretty lucrative deal. Even if he goes for the low end of the reported $750 million, rather than the lifetime deal at over $1 billion. James, is there any particular piece of clothing you just couldn't bring yourself wearing for the rest of your life, even if it brought you $1 billion? You have to wear Doc Martens every day and no other shoe, but you become a billionaire.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to have to think on that.
Like you have to wear a tie every single day.
Yeah.
You could never be seen in public without a necktie on.
Could be something like that. Like maybe not being able to wear. Yeah, maybe not being able to wear like T-shirts in public. Like maybe it's like I have to wear some kind of button-up shirt in public every day, because I love wearing T-shirts.
What if you had to wear long sleeves every day for the rest of your life, but you get $1 billion?
Yeah, no, I couldn't do long sleeve in the summer.
You couldn't be long sleeved for $1 billion.
Well, for $1 billion, man.
What if it was only when you were in public?
I could probably do that for $1 billion, but I would be like Dwight in the episode where they make him. It's when Idris Elba is on there for a few episodes, and he makes him wear a long sleeve shirt, and Dwight always has the short sleeve shirts, and he's like, everything's restricted. Like I'd be like that. I would not be happy, but you know what? 9 figures in the bank account or whatever that is, make me a little happier.
Yeah, I think you could. I think you get.
Is that 10 figures? 1 billion.
$1 billion is
that's 10 figures. Yeah.
It's one digit and then 9 zeros.
That's right. So 10 figures. That would improve my mood.
And so the text line. What a blind spot! I can't believe. I mentioned earlier in the conversation, is AJ going to be the first guy who played at a local college to have his own shoe? Of course not. Damian Lillard has his own shoe. And Damian Lillard very famously was actually involved in the design of his own shoe. He wasn't just like, hey, Adidas, you guys have designers, have them send me a bunch of proposals. He went out to headquarters and he talked with artists, and he went to the fabric sample room and all that kind of stuff. He's a super hands-on guy. Yeah, my bad, Dame. Of course Dame Lillard has his own shoe. Thanks to Ryan and Eric for letting us know.
He's listening, and he's pissed at you.
Dame is a regular listener to the show.
Whenever he's in Ogden, he tunes in, And you're not that far from Ogden, so you better watch out.
Dame, swing by the Layton Hills Mall for the Paris RV tent sale that's happening right now. Even for you, Damian Lillard, $1,000 off if you mentioned you heard about the sale on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700. You think Dame's more of a motorhome guy or a travel trailer guy? I bet he's already got a big truck. He just wants a travel trailer.
Yeah, he's got the truck. He just needs something to haul with something for the truck to haul. Absolutely.
You think a Mercedes G-Wagon is actually good for hauling things?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Probably about as good as the old Cyber trucks are for hauling things. Actually, you know what? Probably better, because those Cyber trucks are, from what I've heard, the absolute worst for that sort of thing.
It's a battery life thing, right? They're powerful enough, but you can't haul them very far.
Yeah.
Is that how it is?
Something like that.
Well.
And they look really stupid. So there's that, too.
You don't like the look of them?
They're the ugliest thing. Every time I see one, I'm like, you idiot for thinking that's a cool thing to drive around. Like, idiots.
All right,
no offense to our Cybertruck listeners out
proud
there.
Proud sponsor of today's show, Tesla of Salt Lake City. Oh, thanks, James. You really ruined that.
Well, not now.
not now. Yeah. They are funny looking. I don't mind them, though. Kind of like, oh, it looks like a spaceship. All right. That's all for the Daily Dump. And if you didn't want to listen to Sneaker Talk Radio, I apologize to you. Plenty more to get to here on the Sean O'Connell Show. We've got Adrian Denny joining us at the top of hour number 3. We go between the pipes, talk about the Utah Mammoth as they take on the Golden Knights tonight in a very crucial Game 5 with the series knotted up at 2 wins apiece. It's Utah's number 1 sports talk, ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, we got Adrian Denny joining us in about 5 minutes here on the Sean O'Connell Show. As we close out hour number 2, though, I want to remind all of you that this weekend at the Layton Hills Mall, northwest corner of the mall, the parking lot outside the JCPenney, you got the Paris RV tent sale happening right now. Millions of dollars of high-quality used RVs, and Troy is here to talk about everything they have to offer. Troy, thanks for hopping on again.
Hey, my pleasure. I think I better edit myself a little bit this time, though.
Oh, yeah.
No free trailers.
There are no free trailers. You get $1,000 off, though.
But we do have them stacked deep, and we are selling them cheap. So we've got literally everything. We've got everything from a little $5,000 tent trailer up to a big high-end fifth wheel. We've got tongue pulls. We got tons of motorhomes. We've even got a Super C and an Airstream here.
What's a Super C?
Super C is like a Class C on steroids. Got the big chassis. Literally can take it off road, and they're just super, super cool. As a matter of fact, I was kind of thinking, so I think that you probably look pretty good in one, so maybe we'll just sell to you.
All right, that's not a bad idea. I was popping in these little Sunseekers over here, and Brett told me these are rental returns. They look like they're brand new inside.
Yeah, so we are super, super selective on who we buy those from. We get them from a company that literally they take better care of them than people take care of their own personal stuff. So every time they come back from a rental, they get PDI checked over. And the cool thing is, so they sell them to us before they get too many miles on them. But literally, you could save $30,000 to $50,000 on them, and you can get an extended warranty on them. You can finance them for 240 months, get a super cheap payment, and just have more fun than humanly thought possible in them.
And look, I get it. You're not going to use a motorhome as your daily driver. You might not even use one of these pop-up vans as your daily driver. But when you're not raised in this world, you don't know how much these things cost. I just want to give people a sense. Like, if you're driving around a truck or an SUV right now, even if you bought it used like I did at the end of last year, we got a Ford Expedition with low miles. It was a great deal. I felt like we got taken care of. But I'm looking at this motorhome with a shower and a bathroom and sleeping multiple people in it, and the price tag on that is less than I paid for my dang car.
Yeah, and that is a good dang point. A lot of people don't realize they're a lot more affordable than what you think, and I'll bet you, even though it's less money than the truck that you bought, I'll bet the payment's cheaper on the motorhome too, because like I was telling you, you can finance it for 20 years.
Yeah, it's about $100 per thousand financed is going to be your monthly payment. Right?
Yep.
So you got plenty of options up here. They will work with you on a bunch of different financial institutions. Make sure you get the best rate, the best financing, the best payment plan. Or, you know what? If you're a big baller like Troy, you just come in, you slap down a pile of cash, and you say, I want that Airstream. Let's go.
Yeah, I just bought about 3 of them just 20 minutes ago, but I saved $1,000 per copy because I mentioned your name.
That's awesome. Man, if that's the only thing getting you a discount and working at Paris RV didn't help you out, that's a you problem, Troy. This Airstream, by the way, it's not just a regular Airstream. It's like the fancy. It's the Pottery Barn edition.
This thing is super nice, super clean. You know, an Airstream's kind of a unique product. It takes a specific buyer for them, right? Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I mean, who doesn't want an Airstream, right? They're super lightweight, super cool. They've got tons of really cool bells and whistles, and gosh, dang it, you'll just have a ton of fun in that thing. A lot of people buy those, go cross country in them.
And the wild thing about Airstreams, I've been down this rabbit hole. Like a lot of vehicles, we know this. Vehicles are depreciating assets for the most part, right?
Yeah.
If you take good care of your Airstream, it becomes a classic.
Yeah, amen to that. You're 100% spot on that. So, yeah, so come take a look at this guy. We've got a little New Camp Tab 400 that's super cool, super high-end. We've got freaking Class Bs, like he had mentioned, the motorhome. I just wanted to touch on the motorhome. So I raised my kids in little motorhomes, and all my kids were competitive in sports. And for us, we would just take that when when we're waiting for their event to start, we'd just hang out in the motorhome, watch movies, and just have fun. So
I mean, for camping, for sports traveling around, you want a road trip across the country, it's a lot more comfortable and financially probably makes sense now with how much hotels and flights are.
amen to that. You
So-
know, think about this too. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but literally, what do your kids talk about when they're growing up? They don't talk about all the beanings they got, right? They just talk about all the time they went camping, right?
Yeah.
At least that's what happened with me, and I beat my kids a lot.
Well, we won't endorse that part of it, but I'm telling you, the Paris RV tent sale is where you want to be this weekend. $1,000 off. If you mention you heard about it on the Sean O'Connell Show, if you listen to it on ESPN 700, and 10 a.m. to dusk all weekend long. So come out, ask for Troy, ask for Brett, say, get me in the right vehicle, and they'll guide you through the process. If you don't know what you really need, I got 3 kids, I got a truck, what can I afford? They're going to make sure that they put you in the right vehicle.
And cool thing too, we are low pressure too. It's not like if you come into the display, you're going to have 50 million salespeople jumping on top of you. We've only got a couple of guys here. We do that for a reason. We know people like to look around a little bit and not be bothered by pushy salesmen. So we make it super easy and a ton of fun.
Amen to that part. I can't tell you how many times I've just walked away from something because you walk in and someone's like, hey, can I help you out? And you're like, no, I'm just looking. And they won't let you just look.
Yeah.
They follow you around. What about this? What about this? Yeah, what about it? I just want to look. Troy's going to let you look. And then when you have questions, he's going to answer all of them for you. Paris RV tent sale. Paris RV tent sale is happening at the Layton Hills Mall this weekend, 10 a.m. to dusk. All right. We go between the pipes. Adrian Denny, our Utah Mammoth insider, is here. He's even got the Mammoth lapel pin. Let's go. Sean O'Connell Show with Adrian Denny next on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show. Hour number 3 starts with Adrian Denny. We go between the pipes with the Utah Mammoth Insider. You can hear him on Mammoth Daily. You can hear him on the radio broadcasts. Brought to you by Aladdin Industries, Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Our friend and NHL Hockey Insider. Adrian, welcome. How are you?
What's up, OC? How's it going, man?
Thanks for coming up to Layton Hills Mall.
Are you kidding me? I wouldn't miss an RV parking lot sale for the world, so it just worked out perfect.
These things actually are really cool. Just
I could look all day in these things. Just go inside, sit down, do some work. Yeah, I'm all in on this.
The problem I have is I'm like, I need this one. And then I walk into the next one, and I'm like,
yeah,
nope, I need this one.
Oh,
and
there's not a bad decision to make.
I walk into the big, expensive one. I'm like, yeah, I need this. I definitely want this one that's $150,000. But in any case, let's get to some NHL hockey. Let's get into some Mammoth versus Knights. Back on the road tonight at the Fortress in Vegas. Series all tied up 2-2. We were watching with great interest the other night when Utah battled back from being down 3-0, took the 4-3 lead, gave up the equalizer late, and ended up unfortunately losing in overtime on home ice to Vegas. But now it's a 3-game series.
It is, and I told James Peterson, our executive producer, he stopped by during the second intermission on Monday night, and I said, I don't have a feeling one way or another whether we're going to win this game 4 tonight. But watching these guys right now, they can win this series because they believe. They've got the confidence. The way they made 3-0, 3-2, I thought, okay, nothing is going to turn these guys aside. And going into the playoffs, for me, that was one of the bigger things, right? It's a first-year playoff team together. Are they going to have that confidence and swagger that they used in the regular season to get to this point? Sometimes you'll see a team go out and they'll play good, but you can just tell they're a little tight, and they don't win the one-goal games, and they come close. But 2-2 here, going into Game 5, I saw something in Game 4 that, to me, really made a statement from this group as a whole. They believe, and they're not afraid of anything here. And for me, that's the biggest thing you could ever have.
One thing I've noticed through this series, and I think, the final 10 or so games in the regular season, is and I know this is like low-hanging fruit type stuff, but it feels like when they're giving up goals, a lot of the situations where this team is giving up goals is not because the other team is better, that guy's shot is just that good or whatever. A lot of it is like, there was an obvious error by the Mammoth that led to the score. And you never want to make those errors, and you never want to make that excuse. It's just like, well, as long as we play clean hockey, we're going to win. But there are plenty of teams out there, most of them are not in the playoffs. I think all of them are not in the playoffs, where they're doing their darndest, and they just don't have it. It's just not enough. They're just not good enough, even at their very best, to win these meaningful games. And when you see this team giving up goals, it's like, it's explainable. It's like, well, that happened because that thing happened first. That happened because of that errant pass. That happened because of that missed puck handling. That happened because of some miscommunication in front of the crease or whatever. And it feels like the errors are explainable, which means I think they're fixable. And with that comes adjustments, hopefully, for Game 5. Does that make sense?
That 100% makes sense. And you can look at it taking that another step. And, Vegas in the last couple games in particular has controlled the Utah zone 5-on-5. They've had a lot of puck possession, but they haven't necessarily generated a lot of offense. They've had the puck, but I think the frustration down in Vegas is they haven't done very much with it, and Utah has made them work. 11 of their 12 goals have come within 17 feet of the net. So everything Vegas has gotten in this series, they've had to work for. That tip that made it 4-4, the puck that they threw in to win the game on Monday night. They have had to, lift the offense and really force it against the Mammoth. So So that's one thing. So you could say, well, they've had the puck for so much longer, and the shot differential. But then you can look at the Utah side of it and say, but the Mammoth have generated offense and fast, and they haven't needed, to possess the puck for minutes at a time to get their goals. They've been able to stretch pucks up ahead, use their speed and skill to score. They've got 8 goals on their last 42 shots, which is about, some math on the air here, about 17-18% shooting percentage. So that's high, and you're saying, gosh, is that going to continue to come? But if you look at the last month of the regular season, the Mammoths scored 4 goals or more in 10 of their 14 games, and their shooting percentage was exactly where it's been in the last couple games, where they put up 4 goals in 2 straight contests. So Utah's been able to generate offense quickly with their speed, but they've also done a good job of coming back and getting another goal. 4 times on the homestand on all 8 of their goals, they scored another goal less than 6 minutes later. And in the case on Monday, they scored 2 goals 29 seconds apart. They scored 2 goals just over 3 minutes apart, right? So the Mammoth have been clicking. They've been able to take advantage of what they do well, and that's generate good, high opportunity, high-end scoring chances. And Vegas has had to really, really work for it. So I think that's a positive. Plus, the Mammoth, as we now go into games 5, 6, and 7, playing every other day after we played 2 games in 6 nights, they've been able, as the younger team, a much younger team, to really manage the minutes and spread everything out across the board. Vegas has really leaned on their stars, and
Jack
they're
Eichel,
older and they played a lot.
Eichel played 33 minutes the other night.
And I'm not going to say that's a really bad sign for Vegas, because it's the NHL and everybody's conditioned well. But it's another little thing to watch for as we break down every single microscopic detail in what could be a 7-game series here. Utah's younger, and their guys are going to be fresher.
Okay, I asked this question. We had Mike Folta on.
Yeah.
Well, I've asked this question to every hockey guest we've had this week. How many times did we see Veggie lose his stick with the other team, ready to fire one off this year? I mean, I don't recall seeing it other than we saw the other night, but you watched every single game all the way through. So how many times did that happen this year?
What, twice on Monday and twice all year? Probably. There were some scrambles in front, and that's how Vegas got their final goal. I think Veggie can be. I think he can be a huge factor here. I think Utah holds the goaltending advantage. He gives up 4 goals in regulation on Monday, 5-4 the final. Only twice this year did he give up 4 more goals in 2 straight starts. So
I also want to talk about 2 of those goals.
Yeah.
The redirects from Howden were ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Vegas having to work to get what they're getting. So that's huge. And Howden's he's a playoff player, man. He's a third-line forward. You don't hear anything about him, and then you watch him in a playoff series, and you're like, I kind of like him.
Going back to before the playoffs started, I was asking you, who needs to step up for the Mammoth? Who needs to be somebody that really emerges in this first series against Vegas? And you threw out Brandon Tanev's name was one of the first ones. Has he lived up to what this team needs from him?
I think he's been great. He moved up a line on Monday night in the middle of the game. There's just something about him. And we talk about Vegas and all the playoff experience that they have, but Brandon Tanev's a guy that can add it for the Mammoth. He's gone to the second round in 4 of the 6 years that he's made the playoffs. He's made the playoffs in now 7 of his 9 years playing in the NHL. There's just something about that big game situation that he's in, and he scored the game-winning goal for Providence in the Frozen Four to win an NCAA championship over Jack Eichel. It was off the face-off play. Providence was going up against Eichel. They win the faceoff, and Tanev scored the goal. So he's just kind of got that ilk, kind of, if you will, of big game. Does it appear in the box score? Not necessarily, but he's just kind of out there and, you know, hitting guys and adding a positive impact.
What are they doing with J.J. Peterka in this game?
Based on the reports that we got from Morning Skate, it sounds like J.J. is going to go down to the fourth line. It also sounds like Barrett Hayton could be back. He was taking line rushes at Morning Skate in Vegas today with Michael Carcone and Alexander Kerfoot. So, sounds like Hayton, Bear will tell us game time decision. But if, based on the reports from Morning Skate today, it sounds like Hayton could be back. Peterka goes down to the fourth line. He didn't play for the second half of the third period and overtime. And Bear, you know, gave a good answer. Like, it's just part of this. He gave an example. It's like Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz, when they were coming up, it wasn't all, you know, rainbows and strawberries and it wasn't all fun times. Like, there's things. And remember Logan Cooley last year got benched in a game in late December after he took a penalty, and just kind of the process. I think for JJ it's going to come. No goals in the playoffs so far, 25 in the regular season. You hope you get one or two. He hasn't shot the puck either. Like,
yeah, well,
there's been some instances where I'm like, JJ, shoot that, man.
Well, he had a bad game the other night, and that's fine, right? The reason I say it's fine is because, like, he was a big acquisition for this team, and you gave up some important assets in order to get him. And him having a bad game, if this team is not deep enough, if this team is too dependent on bringing in a guy like that, you can't move him down a line, or you can't survive. And obviously, you didn't end up winning the game. He turned over the puck that led to I think it was the second Vegas goal. So it had a big outcome on the game. But, like, I think you're in a good situation when you can say a player of that caliber, we can actually afford to, in playoff hockey, not play for several minutes or not play in overtime, or we're going to bump him down tonight. We're going to work through this with him. I think it really says a lot about how well this roster has been constructed around the potential star players, and he is a potential star player.
100%. And the great thing about JJ, OC, is he can be the reason you give up a goal. You can be like, where in the heck is JJ? And then all of a sudden he pops in 2 in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, it's Bear's a great communicator, and he said they had a talk, but
yeah, he said we had a talk and we'll keep that talk between us.
You can imagine though, third period and overtime, sitting on that bench and Bear isn't calling for JJ. How that feels. Can you like just think of that? But
that's a motivator.
Yeah.
Speaking of calling for JJ or calling for anyone, last time we were talking, I was like, what's the atmosphere going to be like at the Delta Center? And now that we've seen it, you've felt it, we've been in that building, the players, the national broadcast, the radio broadcast, the local TV broadcast, I have not heard one pundit go more than 3 minutes talking about this series without mentioning how crazy that building is. It's like the old playoff Jazz energy that is no longer there for basketball has just transplanted itself to Utah Mammoth hockey.
I think Monday night was a step up from Friday.
Really?
Too.
Don't tell me that. I couldn't go on Monday.
Yeah, I feel like it. And maybe the funnest part for me on Monday, you've seen like that big, huge mammoth parachute that they drape across sections. We got it in our section, and
nice.
I gotta bob the parachute up and down and go nuts at the start of overtime. Yeah, I mean, you hear Steve Levy, and he said he texted Mike Breen, right? Like, I think this is louder than the finals, but what a scene. And yeah, I think that this Game 5, this is why you have me on. And this is why Valley Plumbing wants all in and all that stuff. But Aladdin Industries, about 80% of the teams that win Game 5 win the series. But, I was talking with Bryson Bianucci at lunch about an hour ago from our sister station, ESPN The Fan, and they're asking about momentum carrying from one game to the next. And my feeling on that is Game 4, a team had a 3-0 lead. Another team took a 4-3 lead. It was 5-4 in overtime. Nothing comes from that. You move on to Game 5. But Game 5, you win Game 5, you're coming home to win Game 6. And then we can take it. Can you come on Friday night? Can we make you part of that?
I'm gonna be in South Dakota calling
That's
fights.
right. That's right.
It's brutal.
All right. Well, yeah, I think the Game 5 though, if you come out and you don't fall behind 3-0 in the first period, because they came out and had another good, strong first 5 minutes, and Bears said we need better starts, obviously. If you can come out and not fall behind 3-0, that's my biggest thing of why you don't win tonight. But if you can win Game 5 and you're coming back to the Delta Center to win a Game 6 and move on to round 2.
Okay, what is that? The slow start thing. We've talked about this with Utah football in the past. We've talked about this with the Jazz. This was actually a thing in my own fight career where you come out of the locker room, you feel like you're jazzed, you're ready to go, and then you get your ass kicked in round 1, and you got to bounce back. What is contributing to that for the Utah Mammoth? Because it feels like, in the last 3 games especially, it's been like you get 6 minutes in, and Vegas will have a goal, and it'll be like they've got 7 shots, Utah's got 1 or got none. What's with the slow starts?
The most bizarre thing about it is, if you look at the last 2 seasons in the regular season, Utah is the best team in the NHL in the first 5 minutes and the first 10 minutes of a game in terms of shot differential, in terms of goal differential. And as I started off our segment today talking about there's no fear, there's no sign of, playing in the playoffs for the first time and learning lessons. You haven't seen glaring stuff like that. Vegas has started great. And you look at the regular seasons, that has been the least of Utah's concerns. Nobody's been better in the NHL of coming out in the first 5 minutes and first 10 minutes to starting a game. I guess you could say Friday night, maybe some jitters, maybe some adrenaline. Monday, it hurt them because they scored 72 seconds into the game. So maybe being on the road, maybe that's where you can tilt that. Maybe you can pull that back into your side, because OC, your first period shot totals in the last 3 games, 6, 6, and 3 is not a high percentage situation to get the game off to a good start. And chances are, if you fall behind 3-0 again, you're not going to have a comeback on the road.
All right, the Utah hockey community and the Utah sports community has really embraced Mammoth hockey. It's one of the most exciting things that's happened in my lifetime covering sports in the state of Utah and being a resident of the state of Utah. It's absolutely incredible. These players being embraced by the community, them embracing the community. We got to make sure we're calling them the right names, the right nicknames especially.
Yeah.
Okay? And you're on the broadcast, and you're on Mammoth Daily, so you're a thought shaper, okay? You're a trend setter when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, James, are you prepared?
Oh, I'm more than prepared.
Okay,
so
we've been waiting on this.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
James was telling
yeah.
you. Yeah.
So
We've got some ideas.
So let me just tell the little backstory of why I started compiling this list. So
Okay.
I'm sitting in the media section. They have us in the corners of the building. I'm in one of those corners there, and one of fellow media members was like, "I saw someone wearing something that said 'You're killing me, schmaltz,' and I went, 'Oh, that's great.'" And I'm like, "Wait, I can do that for most of the other players too." So let me give you. I'll start with the captain, Adrian Denny. How do you like the Zodiac Keller?
I like it. I like it, James, because you've seen his eyes, when he's possessing a puck when he's talking to the media, and he'd rather go do some work to to focus on his game and his mental well-being, right? So I like that.
I got one for you with Keller, James.
Okay.
Natural born Keller.
Natural born Keller.
Or if he's having really bad stretch, we can just call him Helen.
Oh.
Clayton, more like Helen.
Oh,
man.
We won't do that to you.
Okay, so this one's one that I'm gonna ask you guys for your feedback on this, because this one I'm not sure I love it as much. But
They're gonna start getting wild. Okay?
Yeah.
I've seen the list. They're gonna start
so
getting
this one's kind of wild. So you've heard of, they're a sponsor every, I think it's twice a year they have the Rocky Mountain Gun Show, right? Shout out to those guys. How about the Wasatch Mountain Gunth Show?
I can't get
Or
behind that.
Dylan Gunther.
I can't get behind that one.
It's a little lisp.
What else do you got, James?
That's what I got for that's the only one I'm like. That's the only thing I can think of for Gunther. Okay,
Gunther I have found is actually a really, really difficult name to do like a play on words with.
What about Rocky Mountain Gunner Show?
The Gunner. Okay.
I think we could go with that.
That's what Bear calls him, right? Gunner?
Yeah, Gunner.
Gunner. Okay, I didn't realize he went by Gunner with at least the coach there. So that's much better. See, I put a question mark next to that one.
I gets lost because people can't quite decide if it's Bear's accent, where he's just like leaving Gunther is just going like Gunner, but I think he deliberately is.
It is Gunner. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, now for Logan Cooley, this is another one that I'm not sure about, but I'm thinking like Ice Cooler because he's clutch, right? Ice like clutch, or we could go Little Giants and just call him the Ice Box.
I like Icebox.
Do too.
What about Cooley on the other side of the pillow? Get it?
Yeah.
Get it? We got to shorten it somehow.
We're rolling.
Lawson Krause, Sour Krause.
This one's good. I like Sour Krause.
Sour Krause, yeah. That's
all right. Now,
German Oktoberfest, folks.
Now this one,
what about Krausfire?
Krausfire.
Crossfire, but Krausfire? Or Housefire? Krausfire?
Krausfire.
What do you think of that? Maybe not. He's redhead too. Red beard at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Mikhail Sergachev. This one I really like, but I just know OC is going to hate it. Sergachev, like a rock.
It's too much. And I don't know. It's just brand associated. And he's Russian. They don't drive Chevys in Russia.
Okay. How about just Chase? Like Chevy Chase.
Yeah, I'm not on board with that.
Not on board with
that. Mostly because I keep hearing all these like anecdotal stories about how Chevy Chase is actually like one of the worst celebrities out there.
That's true.
Like he's really awful to people, apparently.
Maybe 15 years ago, that would have been a better one. Okay, now, I think you told us, Adrian, that the JJ for JJ Peterka stands for John Jason.
Correct, yeah.
So, John Jason Jingleheimer Schmidt.
But you got a guy named Schmidt, too.
Yeah, that's it. And then, or you could just say,
or use it for both of them.
You could just say his name is my name. That's it. That's
all
the
right.
nickname. And then the Jack McPain.
Yes.
What about McBain of your existence?
McBain of your existence.
Like, that's something you can use on a broadcast, Adrian.
Yeah.
Kenny.
That
sounds
is like
the
something.
McBain of the Las Vegas existence.
That sounds like something Mike would say after a big hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the last one I've come up with is for Yamamoto, Yamaha, a.k.a. the Piano Man.
Oh, yeah.
He's tickling the ivory.
I like that, James.
Can I give you one for Schmaltz? Can you call him Schmaltzpox one time?
Schmaltzpox.
You know, it's like smallpox. It's a deadly disease. Schmaltzpox.
Yeah.
It's killing the other team. Schmaltzpox.
Yeah. They're dying of Schmaltzpox out there. Can we get that in there?
That's It might be a little edgy for Hockey Night in Utah, but they can do is say, "Don't do that again."
Spray tan of.
Oh.
Like a
Spray
tan?
tan of. How did I not come up with that one?
Here's what I'm reading. Okay, Adrian Denny is a great sport, and he's right here in front of me. James, he doesn't like any of these.
I think they're
his
good.
body language and he's not going to use any of these on the broadcast. It's never going to happen.
I don't know.
We've struck out here.
I saw him in person when I gave him Zodiac Killer, and I believe you're going to use that one. I believe it.
I think Sauerkraus has a chance. I think McBain of your existence has a chance.
Can you email me these, James?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Put a little more preparation into it.
I love it.
I'll erase the ones that we didn't like.
Effort, though. A for effort.
I'll take out Sergis Chevy. Don't worry about that. No Gunth show. Gunner is what we landed on there. But yeah, I'll send you the rest.
877-353-0700. If you want to submit any ideas, our whole goal now is to get something into the radio broadcast with the starting point of that nickname being right here on the Sean O'Connell Show. We'll do our best.
Yeah, no, I'm all in.
Well, before we let you go, do the Mammoth win tonight, and if so, how does that look?
My key for the Mammoth tonight that's different from the last 3 games is kind of what we talked about in terms of don't fall behind 3-0. But can you come out, can you establish the tone with 10 first period shots? I would feel good about the trajectory of the game if we don't start pinned in to our own zone for the first 5-10 minutes. Can you have even or more shots than Vegas in the first period? And it hasn't mattered, and we talked about how opportunistic Utah's been, but I would feel that you're in a better situation to win if you can come out in the first period and kind of dictate the tone. Maybe you get a goal in the first 5-10 minutes and take it from there like Friday night.
Mammoth, Golden Knights, tonight, Game 5. The series, as you know, is tied up 2-2. A crucial and, like Adrian just said, most of the time it's like an 80% rate of being a kind of a decider if you can win Game 5 for the rest of the series.
If you win Game 5, you're winning Game 6. We're not going back to Vegas on Sunday. We get the weekend off.
I love that idea. Any other surprises around the league for you? The Oilers on the brink with Connor McDavid suffering.
They were, and now they're a win away from being 3-3 and going back home for a Game 7. It seems like that's Edmonton every series, every year. They fall behind, and then all of a sudden they're back. And I'll tell you this, OC, it looked like they were done for good when Anaheim went up 3-1. Gosh, it looks like Minnesota's probably in a pretty good spot to take care of Dallas. They're at home for Game 6. The Montreal-Tampa Bay series, they've got a Game 5 Sunday and Game 4, the only game in that series that did not go into overtime. So that series has been pretty crazy. OC, can Pittsburgh erase a 3-0 deficit and win the series 4-3? It all started, it sounded like they're down 3-0. They practice Friday. Sidney Crosby gets hit in the back of the head with a puck, and it sounded like it just kind of lightened the mood from that point on.
Wow.
Yeah, they got some laughs. Funny stuff can change momentum.
Hockey guys are weird, man, in the best way. It's awesome. That is Adrian Denny. That is Between the Pipes, brought to you by our friends at Valley Plumbing, Heating, and Air, and Aladdin Industries, your Utah V-Lux dealer. Thank you for coming all the way up here to the
OC,
10 sale.
On Friday, when I'm back downtown for game number 6, I'd love to see one of these babies parked in front of the station.
That's a great idea. Maybe we'll get that Sunseeker over there.
Yeah.
We'll put a big decal of my face on the side.
Do this because it's parking's, they got all the meters and stuff. Just bring some cones. Put 2 cones on the back of the RV, 2 cones in front, and they'll be like, oh, they must have a permit or something.
Like, oh,
it's
they're
cool
supposed
to
to
park
be
there.
here.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to pull up onto the plaza right next to the note and right next to the puck.
Yeah.
And just put it there.
Just put it there. Yeah.
Not a bad idea. Big thanks to Adrian Denny. Big thanks to Paris RV for having us out here at the Layton Hills Mall. Millions of dollars in high-quality used inventory on motorhomes, travel trailers, fifth wheels, tent trailers, toy haulers, truck campers, Class A, Class C, diesel, gas, anything you need. A great time to buy. UtahRVEvent.com for more details. All right, we haven't really touched on it yet, but the NCAA basketball tournament is going to expand. Why? Maybe we can figure it out next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. Sean O'Connell Show here at the Paris RV Blowout Sale. Wednesday through Saturday right here at the Layton Hills Mall, northwest corner of the mall, out here in the parking lot. Shout out to our sales guy, Chad. He just brought me a cough drop. Man, shout out to all of you who decided to stay and listen to the show today, despite me sounding like this. The NCAA tournament at 68 teams, especially with the changes with transfer rules, NIL, all that stuff. We talked about it this year, and last year and the year before, the sort of erosion of the long-standing tradition of Cinderella stories and great stuff to follow, unexpected victories. Some of the most appealing things about the tournament have become a thing of the past for the casual fan. If you're a hardcore college basketball fan, you're going to watch, and you actually want to see Duke versus Kansas more than you want to see Wayne State versus Duke. But it's a strange thing to see the changes, administrative changes, taking place that affect the product on the court and take away some of those things that we love so much about March Madness. And yet and still, even as I think the March Madness product is, for the average man and woman, probably less appealing, but still just as appealing for the hardcore college sports fan. Maybe less appealing even for the bettor, for the wagerer. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Brendan Sorsby about that one. But 76 teams. The NCAA is going to expand the March Madness tournament to 76 teams. I don't know why they feel this is necessary. I don't know the right way as a sports talk radio guy to just bring you my hot take that this is dumb. It's like the only answer, the only thing here is that we have allowed the pursuit of money, the pursuit of revenue, to make every decision now in sports. You don't need this. You don't want this. You're diluting the product. This is not like the college football playoff expanding, even, although that is very revenue driven, where it was pretty important to make sure that the whole country stays engaged, that you're not leaving entire swaths of geography, entire regions out of your playoff picture. That was just as big of a reason to expand the college football playoff as anything else. That's not what this is. 68 teams is more than enough. 68 teams is coast to coast, northern border to southern border, everything in between. There's a regional element to all of it. You don't need 76 for that. 76 is a cash grab. 76 is more commercial inventory. 76 is more broadcasts to sell to television partners. Let's get True TV and Apple, and let's get Netflix, and let's get Amazon Prime, and let's get the first four. I mean, the product doesn't need to grow, doesn't need to be expanded from an actual size of the field standpoint, and yet that decision is hurtling towards us because of what? Because of the desire to make more money. And if it was more money that was going to benefit Cinderella, if it was more money that was going to make it so that Weber State and Southern Utah and Utah State made deeper runs, I would probably be all for it. But that extra field is going to be populated with now the 11th best team in the Big 12 and the 11th best team in the Big 10 and the 11th best team in the SEC. Whereas it was like, hey, before, only your top 10 are going to get in, guys. You got 12 in this year, but next year it's going to be back down to 8. This is the power conferences. This is the rich getting richer in every sense of the word. Power conferences benefiting from this. Broadcasters benefiting from this. And if there's a way that you could distribute the funds to make the expanded field more friendly to Cinderella and bring Cinderella back, I'd probably have a different evaluation of it. But 76 teams. You're going to have to spend an extra 2 minutes filling out your bracket. And we're going to have to talk about the first 4 out. That's now teams 77, 78, 79, and 80. That's going to be the first 4 out in college basketball. Who's the 80th best team in college basketball? Imagine being a bracketologist, and now you have to expand your interest that much more.
Imagine caring, right? Imagine caring who the 76th best team in the country is. Imagine having to care who the 79th best. Like, who cares? I will say this, OC.
It was already enough when it was team number 72. That was already too much.
I've heard this justification for expanding the field beyond what you're talking about, which, of course, the powers that be are not going to say, we're just trying to make more money. They're not going to say that publicly, even though that's probably why they're doing it. But I've heard this as a motivation for expansion that I still don't think is necessary. When they expanded from 64 to 68 teams, there was 335 Division I basketball programs, which meant that 68 teams making the tournament would be 20%. Now, that number's grown to 361 this year, so 68 teams is under 20%. It's like 18, 19%. So 76 brings it back to 20% of teams are in the tournament. So I've heard that justification. For whatever reason, they like that 20% number.
I'm glad that math works out well for them. I'm glad it does. So 20% of the field, or 20% of all of college basketball, back when it was 68 teams, and now that the Division I ranks have swelled, while that number has grown, the number of teams that have a real chance of winning tournament games has shrunk. So the 20% that used to populate that tournament are now 17 or 18%, but only 10% of those teams can realistically win a game. So I'm out on this. I don't need an expanded field. All right, we're going to give away some Red West Music Festival tickets next. I've got two-day passes.
OC, how about always hating? Barrett Hayton.
Oh, that's good. Why he always hating, yeah.
Why he always hating. Did you see Derek the mailman texted, said, when did James morph into Todd Fritz? I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, Fritz, he's got a pretty successful career. That's
Thank you, Derek the mailman.
The Red West Festival comes to Utah State Fair Park October 16th and 17th. I'll give away a pair of passes next. It's the Sean O'Connell Show wrapping up here at Layton Hills Mall. We'll also talk to Brett one more time on ESPN 700 and 92.1 FM. All right, I got a pair of Red West Festival tickets to give away. They're coming to the Utah State Fair Park October 16th and 17th. 877-353-0700. Who is currently the Las Vegas Golden Knights' leading scorer for the season? 877-353-0700. Who has scored the most goals for the Las Vegas Golden Knights this year? Utah Mammoth in action down in Vegas tonight. Game 5, the series tied up 2-2. A pair of Red West Festival passes, if you know the answer, to the hated enemy trivia question. Who is the best scorer on that Golden Knights team? We're up here at the Paris RV blowout sale at Layton Hills Mall. Northwest corner of the parking lot. You've got, it looks like hundreds. Brett's here with, how many are sitting here? I know you've got backstock on other lots. How many are here in the parking lot today?
I didn't actually count them, but I would say about 70.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
And it's motorhomes, it's fifth wheels, it's tents, trailers, it's Class A, it's Class C. It's a wide selection at every single price point. And these things are in impeccable condition. You guys do a great job of making sure that even the used RVs are ready to go.
Yeah, we get them, we bring them in, we run them through our PDI process. We make sure that they're great for the next owner, the next family. We make sure the fridge, furnace, electrical, water, propane, all works. Generator, everything's good to go. The ramps on the toy haulers are good. Everything is tip-top shape. If it's not, we just get rid of it another way, like take it to the auction or something. So these are all premium RVs, and I would say that the bulk of them are going to be 40% or more off the price of a new one. And many of them, you can't even tell the difference.
I walked through several of them, and you really couldn't tell the difference. And even you, who this is your life, you're an RV expert. You've got a couple you said, I don't know who used it or how they used it.
Yeah,
But you wouldn't be
or
able to
if
tell.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them are, sometimes it amazes me when the wrapper's still on them, and there's a couple of them like that.
That's wild.
The majority of them aren't, but there's a couple of them that are like that. It's like I would have pulled the film off the front of the microwave or off the TV by now, So
UtahRVEvent.com for more details. Open from 10 a.m. to dusk through the weekend, right?
Yep. Through Saturday.
Through Saturday.
Yep.
Okay, through Saturday. Come up. Tell Brett you heard about it on ESPN 700 and maybe a little hookup.
Yeah, we'll give you $1,000. You say you heard it on ESPN, we'll give you $1,000. We just had a guy came in and say, hey, I heard it on ESPN. I want to buy this one. One of our sales team didn't even know that was a thing. So he called me up and he goes, hey, this is what this guy's saying. Is that really true? I said, it is. I said it. We're going to do it. So, yeah, anything you see. It could be the $5,000 one. It could be the $100,000 one. Doesn't matter. Take yourself $1,000 off if you're a ESPN listener.
That's awesome. Make sure you take advantage of that deal. Brett takes care of us. He takes care of our people. Thanks for having us up here. It's always a great event.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And go Mammoth, right?
Go Mammoth.
You think they win tonight?
Yes.
Fingers crossed. I think they
close
do.
It out on
and
Friday.
then they close it out on
That's right.
Friday.
Yeah.
Brett will be there. Make sure you're there as well. Stay tuned for The Drive with Spence Checketts. Thanks for listening to the Sean O'Connell Show. 10 a.m. through dusk, all the way until Saturday, Layton Hills Mall, the Paris RV tent sale. Used RVs, motorhomes, trailers, fifth wheels. They've got a little bit of everything and $1,000 off just for listening to ESPN 700. Have a great one, everybody. Sean O'Connell Show, Utah's #1 sports talk.